your hometown news leader. This is a News 4 First Alert Severe Weather Update.
Good Sunday morning, everyone. Chief Meteorologist David Paul here, 11:48, as we track showers and thunderstorms moving into the Wiregrass. We have a massive tornado watch in effect. No surprise. We have been tracking this for days. The ingredients in place to produce gusty winds today and the chance for isolated tornadoes, in addition to heavy rainfall and frequent lightning. And then we get this cold front to pass. And I'll tell you what, tomorrow morning, Tuesday morning, very, very cold air coming in, freezing cold tomorrow morning. The rain will be long gone, though, so no freezing impacts tonight. The big story is this line of showers and storms that is marching eastward with that threat for isolated tornadoes. Some of those spins within that main line, in addition to the gusty winds. And then we'll watch these cells popping up too ahead of that main line, because some rotation is possible with those cells. I've got Jonathan in back directing. I've got meteorologist Ryan Duggar here as well. We've got a whole team, including Austin, our engineer, here, so we're all ready to roll as we go through the coming hours. Between about, say, now and 4 o'clock, maybe 3 o'clock in spots, will be the prime time for this line to come on through. So let's dig in. By the way, we're going to show you this stream on all of our digital platforms as we go through the day, all right? So WTVY.com, the News 4 app is where you want to go. As far as live coverage on television, because I know we have NFL football coming up at noon, we're going to go to football. We will be on football. But if we get tornado warnings and impactful tornadoes confirmed, we will be on WTVY TV. But during that same time, we will always be on WRGX as the warnings come out. So live TV coverage nonstop on WRGX as it comes on through. That's NBC. Live coverage on WTVY, even during the football game as needed. Nonstop streaming coverage, WTVY.com, the News 4 app, and it's on Facebook too, the News 4 Facebook page, and I have it shared over to my Facebook page, Chief Meteorologist David Paul. There's a look at temperatures. Warm and humid air coming in. Temperatures really jumping as we look at the dew points. They're climbing well into the 60s. Warm air and moisture is instability. There's a very strong low-level jet up above. That gives the atmosphere the spin potential, and that's what we're watching for as we go through the afternoon. So look at the radar. West of Troy, southward, right along I-65, more or less, a line of strong storms. That's the main line. That's the cold front that will bring us the heavy rainfall, the gusty winds, and embedded rotation. These are the cells popping up out ahead of that main line, which may also rotate in that warm and humid atmosphere. So that's our cut-in for the TV side on WTVY, WRGX. If you are watching there, we will go back to programming. We will go live nonstop on WRGX, NBC as needed this afternoon with live coverage. And then we'll do cut-ins as needed on WTVY during the football game. And again, if you want live nonstop coverage, go to WTVY.com, go to the News 4 Facebook page or my Facebook page, or download the News 4 app. You can watch on there, and you can watch on Roku, for example. Download the News 4 app and load up that app, and you will have the live streaming coverage right there. So for the TV side, we're off for now. Watching and waiting for these warnings to come out, but nonstop live streaming continues on WTVY.com. On the TV side, I'll see you as needed this afternoon.
You've been watching a News 4 First Alert Severe Weather Update. For more weather updates, download the free WTVY First Alert Weather app.
All right, welcome back into our live, nonstop streaming coverage of severe weather coming on through the Wiregrass on this Sunday, 11:52. A week ago, we were covering snow moving on through the Wiregrass. Today, we are tracking showers and thunderstorms coming on through the Wiregrass and the chance for tornadoes. Listen, I've been here a long time. I've been standing at this weather wall on Sundays in January before covering tornadoes coming on through the Wiregrass. And I'll tell you what, this setup looks very similar to what we've seen at times in the past. This time of year, you get the warm and humid air to come in on occasion, and then you get rotation spin potential in the atmosphere with that low-level jet. So we're watching the main line areas west of Troy, west of Andalusia, and then we're watching this prefrontal line line popping up over parts of Pike County southward into Covington County at this point. And within this line and these cells that are forming southward, we may see some pockets of rotation. So we're going to cover you as we get the warnings to fly. We've got this tornado watch in effect until the front passes. It goes until 6 p.m., but it's really only in effect, I should say, until this line passes, because behind that main line, the threat is over for any damaging winds or any tornadoes. Before we dig too deep in, I want to introduce meteorologist Ryan Duggar. Jonathan is in back directing. Ryan, just say hi to the audience real quick.
Of course. Hello, everyone. Yeah, we've been watching this for several days, and it's good to track this. We've kind of been due for an event like this. So it's crazy how, there's been ice and snow up north, and now we're tracking warmth and thunderstorms for our area, David. Yeah, it's
going to be a very active day. You can see that mixed line off to the west and northwest of us. Thankfully, most of Alabama seeing rain today. But the downside of this winter storm for us is the fact that we've got this little surge of warm and humid air coming in. I'm going to back up graphics here for just a minute, talk about the dew point, which is really climbing. It's 70 now in Destin. That's the amount of moisture in the atmosphere. We had dew points in the 50s this morning. It's very quickly being scoured out. Maybe you notice some fog here and there heading off to church this morning. That warm, humid air is coming in now. 68, that dew point in Andalusia, up to 66 in Dothan. Dew point is fuel, basically. Fuel combined with warm air, and you put those two together, you get instability, and the instability level is increasing. What the instability does is it allows a parcel of air to go very high up in the sky, to rise very rapidly. So the greater the instability, the more rising air motion you get. The more rising air motion you get, the more lightning you get, the more rain you get, the more potential for damaging straight line winds, and the more potential for those rising air parcels to start spinning and becoming vertical with that low-level jet stream up above. So it's all working together, and I'll tell you what, we are in the thick of it right now. 11:55, 75 Enterprise, 77 Ozark, 75 Chipley, even Dothan up to 72. We were in the 50s a couple hours ago, so it gives you an idea of what we're seeing in the atmosphere this morning, that warm, humid air coming in, and we've got the showers and storms in place. So let's go through the radar here. Crenshaw County, seeing that main line come on through. We're seeing some heavy rainfall south and east of Andalusia, up into the northwestern part here of Coffee County. Notice there's not a lot of lightning. I'm going to make sure that lightning is turned on this layer. I haven't seen much in the way of lightning. Yeah, it is turned on. So just making sure that we're not seeing anything that we're missing. But yeah, this is a line of prefrontal rain, and there's some spin potential in that line. Once we start seeing more lightning, that really indicates where the strongest updrafts are. So we'll kind of be laser focused on bursts of lightning, because that can lead to some really intense pockets of rotation. So there's a different view there of the radar. If you can keep max 2 on there, Jonathan, I don't know if it's built that way, that would be great. So looking outdoors, that's from the top right part of your screen. That is from the Enterprise Electronics Corporation camera looking to the west as we see these showers and storms approaching the area. A very low cloud base today. We call that the LCL, the lifting condensation level. Basically, the warmer and more humid the air is, the lower the cloud base will be in the atmosphere, and pilots know that very well. So we've got a very low cloud base today. And we've got the showers showing up here. Again, parts of Pike County into Coffee County, Covington County, southward into the Panhandle. And then here's the main line, Crenshaw County down to the south. And notice we start seeing some of these notches appearing across parts of the area. I'm watching this area in particular moving up into Crenshaw County. There's a little pocket of rotation in the atmosphere with that cell. And there's a chance that we get that to intensify further as we go through the morning to midday to afternoon period here. So let's start there. I'm going to kind of pause what we're looking at, and what we're going to do is kind of bounce around as we go through the next little bit here. Let me get my cursor. I'm going to zoom into this cell right here. And what we're looking at is base velocity, which is essentially the pure rotation or wind speed in the atmosphere. And that blue indicates very, very strong winds. This is Crenshaw County, Rutledge, southward you see Brantley. So this pocket of damaging straight line winds is about to move into Crenshaw County. I'm going to switch over here from base velocity to storm relative velocity. This accounts for the movement of the storm in the atmosphere. So what we look at with the storm relative velocity is more or less the pure rotation in the atmosphere. And on a day like this, when the line is moving at a pretty good clip, it's kind of nice to dissect the radar, the atmosphere, and pinpoint exactly where potential rotation is and where it's strengthening. So we're watching this one cell. There's some weak rotation with that right now as it approaches Crenshaw County. So we're going to keep our eyes on that cell. Back over to the reflectivity view here. There's a look at the actual radar. There's a little notch here. And what we're going to look for are these notches, because the setup today really isn't favorable for supercell storms on their own, producing a bunch of rotation. You're going to see little pockets of rotation within the main line, and this is the main line as it moves on through parts of Crenshaw County. Ryan, do me a favor, on Max 1, are you seeing any lightning strikes showing up there on Max 1?
No, and actually I also checked another radar app just to confirm that there weren't any lightning strikes, and it seems to be the case. Yeah, a lot of these bands are, of course, becoming heavier, but I haven't seen any lightning strikes tapping into more of that warmth. But I'm thinking it's only a matter of time before we see more lightning associated with these storms as they make their way through.
Yeah, we had a good deal of lightning earlier this morning when these storms were in Mississippi. So, yeah, that's good news. Sometimes you look at the radar and you think, well, there should be a lot of lightning out there, and we're not seeing it yet, all right? So that is some good news. That said, there are still some very gusty winds moving on through, and certainly some heavy rainfall also. Between Andalusia and Opp, heavy rain off into parts of Coffee County. This little area here, the northwestern part of Covington County, that's the main line coming in, and within that area of red, there will be some gusty winds, probably in excess of 30 to 40 miles per hour. No severe thunderstorm warnings in effect yet from this line. That is encouraging because we're not seeing those severe winds yet within this line, but it's probably just a matter of time. That's using the radar from Fort Rucker up in Echo. New data coming in here. Let's go back over to the base velocity and look at a couple areas here. We're watching this little pocket here in the northwestern part of Covington County, watching these straight line winds moving into Crenshaw County. There's rain here, but I'm not seeing anything real significant as far as straight line winds. And then we're watching these cells here. So what we're looking at is rotation potential in the atmosphere. And so far, those cells are behaving themselves, which means the winds are under severe criteria, and that is exactly what we want to see as we go through today. But more than likely, we will see some warnings come out. It's just a matter of time, I would say. Northward, Montgomery is now done with the worst of the weather. There's Montgomery. That line is moving off to the east, and the line will move on through pretty quickly. So in any one location, the worst of it is going to last probably 20 or 30 minutes or so, and then you'll see some improvement. There's still going to be some rain behind that main line, but we're talking about the main impacts from that initial line lasting about 20, 30 minutes or so, and then it's just back to rain. And you're going to go from very warm 70s out ahead of this line into the 60s and 50s very quickly. Some really cold air. I mean, we've been seeing it across the country. Maybe you've seen some of the news stories on all the ice and snow pretty much everywhere. We've kind of been sheltered this weekend because it's been so warm, but that will be ending here as we go through time. These cells look to be behaving themselves, I'll say again, and it looks like that in the model data. I've been analyzing, I mean, for days, and especially this weekend, a lot of the short-term model data, and it's been indicating that we'll have some prefrontal rain like we're seeing here, and then it kind of gels into the main line, and then as we get towards, say, the far southwestern part of Georgia, there may be some more prefrontal cells that pop up. And we watch those because sometimes they can rotate a little bit easier than the storms in the main line. They're kind of on their own. They've got a freer flow of that moisture and warm air coming in from the Gulf. So they act a little more independent sometimes, but so far so good as we watch those showers and storms. Let's go forward here with these graphics. I want to show you the future evolution of the atmosphere. That's noontime. So So there's that line, the modeling doing a good job. Showers and storms. Oh, I pushed the wrong button. Showers and storms areas west. Now as we go towards 1:30, notice some darker colors showing up here. That's a function of the instability increasing. As we go through the peak of the day, we get a lot of warm and humid air to come in. So the peak of the day means peak heating, peak instability, peak strength of these showers and storms. And what I've noticed here with this graph model is when you start seeing notches like you're seeing here, now the placement's not going to be ideal, but when you start seeing notches in the future radar, that usually gives you a pretty good idea that we will indeed see these pockets of rotation on the leading edge of this main line as it moves on through. Temperatures 70s, 60s, 50s behind that line. As we go through the afternoon, very quickly it moves off to the east. So parts of Georgia approaching Albany, Blakely, all the way through Houston County, southward towards, say, Vernon in Washington County at about 3 o'clock or so, give or take a little bit, maybe a half hour or so. And then it moves off to the east very, very fast as we go through the evening hours. By 10 p.m., we're into the 40s. Then as we go into tomorrow morning, cold air, temperatures in the 20s and 30s. Tell me again, Jonathan. Okay, so are we starting a new stream? We're talking about streams here. We're just going to pause. Okay, so we're pausing here to correct a little issue with the stream. So give us a second. Okay, we're back. So that's a look at tomorrow morning. I want to make sure. So is there a new stream? Do I have to start a new stream, or we're good streaming the stream that we were on? Okay, all right, sounds good. I'm trying to make sure that everyone who wants this information gets this information out. So tomorrow morning at 7, the moisture will be gone, so the roads are going to be wet, but that rain will be long gone, so we're not looking at a freezing ice threat on the roads tomorrow morning. But the air will be cold, 20s to lower 30s tomorrow morning at 7, and then a very hard freeze going into Tuesday morning. So here's the setup that we're looking at right now. This red box, more or less, is the tornado watch in effect. This is the radar as that line of showers and storms moves towards our area. And then the red and the yellow and the orange, that's the low-level jet. And I really like to plot this with the radar because severe weather in our part of the country and other parts of the country as well, really driven by the low-level jet, which is a core of winds at about 4,500 feet in the atmosphere. And what happens is, I've got a marker here. So if these are the winds in the low-level jet, these are winds down below. When the winds above are blowing harder and faster, it creates this horizontal spin to the air. And that horizontal spin, if you have instability, lifts it into the upright, and all of a sudden you've got a spinning column of air, and that leads to tornadoes. So that low-level jet is so important when it comes to predicting where tornadoes will be when it aligns with the instability, which is the warm air and the moisture. So we've got those ingredients coming together. If you're a baker or just a cook or just a home cook, I mean, if you mess up some ingredients, it doesn't turn out quite right. But when all the ingredients come together, you end up with a fantastic cake or pie or meal, whatever it is. And those ingredients today in the atmosphere are coming together, and that's why we have this tornado watch in effect in the Wiregrass. So let's reset here, go back to the radar view in our area. Showers and storms moving into Pike County, through Crenshaw County, Covington County, southward. Not much lightning now, but as you saw in the future modeling of the atmosphere, that will likely change because the instability is increasing. So just a matter of time before we get more lightning. And again, more lightning leads to a better chance for those severe thunderstorms, more rising air motion, more potential for spin, tornadoes, damaging straight line winds. The prefrontal rain here is coming down pretty good. Parts of Pike County into Coffee County, and then into Covington County, and then a little more individual in nature as we look through the panhandle at this hour. That's just a lot of rain. And the rain totals, when it's all said and done, generally 0.75 to 1.5 inches, but some locations will likely get 2 inches or more. You think about a spot like this, In the northern part of Coffee County, you're going to get a quick half-inch anyway of rain before the main line comes in. So some locations like this that see 2 batches of some heavy rainfall, you're likely to go over 2 inches of rain, and that leads to the threat for some localized flooding as we go into the afternoon hours. All right, let me bring in meteorologist Ryan Duggar, who is with me in the Weather Center. He is monitoring the Facebook comments. That's a good way for us to talk with you. He's monitoring severe weather reports when they come in and keeping an eye on the Skycam as well. Ryan, over to you.
Yeah, David, so this is definitely an event that we've been tracking for the past several days, where we saw that as we were monitoring this winter storm, we were seeing how our temperatures were going to be behaving, and that's exactly what is providing the fuel for this rain and this steady line of showers and thunderstorms that we're seeing now. Warmth and moisture, and also that low-level jet allowing for the uplift for these storms. But the main thing I'm going to be watching out for as we continue to track this is the chances for storm reports. If they do come in, there can be, damaging wind gusts associated with this line if it continues to strengthen, and also if we do get any isolated tornadoes embedded within this line or with any leading cell ahead of the line. I'll be watching out to see where those are, and I'll be watching out for your comments. And I see a lot of people tuning into our Facebook stream, so thank you so much for watching, because we want to get as much information out to people as possible. I did see a couple questions already, people asking about specific locations to see what are the chances for tornadoes. And of course, we, with the information that is provided, and also as these storms evolve, we can't exactly pinpoint exactly where a tornado could happen. But that's why it's more important just to say, be weather aware throughout this event, because with the temperatures and the dew points, as they continue rising a little bit, as we get more of those winds, the chance can continue to be there. But that's actually a look from our Enterprise Electronics camera right there, and we're seeing that those clouds are still rolling in. I would say at a kind of a steady pace too. You can kind of see the movement of the clouds, so you can tell how the upper level winds are behaving, allowing for these storms to pass through. So the biggest thing is with a event like this, the storms will be making their way pretty fast. So it'll be interesting to watch. But yeah, David, we'll be continuing to watch this line as it continues to make its way through, and it'll be important to see any type of notches that make their way through. But we'll give everyone all the updates that we can.
Yeah, John, if you can do boxes with Ryan and I, that'd be great. So we can just talk back and forth.
Oh,
here
yeah, for sure.
Just a second. You made a valid point, because there are going to be a lot of comments like, what about Geneva? What about Ashford? All of us are at risk, and Ryan mentioned it. We can't pinpoint exactly when and where a tornado will form, if any will form at all. I mean, the conditions are there. It doesn't mean that we will see tornadoes today. There's a chance everywhere, though. It doesn't really matter if you're in Eufaula or if you're in Mariana, if you're in Geneva, if you're in Ebro or Esto or in Florala. I mean, all of us have this threat for tornadoes, and it's pretty much an equal threat for all spots. Now, I will mention, once this line comes on through, you're in the clear. So if you're behind this line, no more threat for tornadoes. But I know, Ryan, everyone wants to know, what about my house where I live? And we can't pinpoint. I mean, we never will be able to pinpoint like that. But we know the conditions are there all across the area.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's really all you can do whenever we have events coming through like this. But with our team, we're really good at being able to see when things are spinning up. We'll track that location, get really close to where that rotation is. So those specific locations that we'll name, of course, you'll know that that is where a storm is tracking or a tornado is tracking. And of course, while David, typically what we do is David will track a storm that is active. I'm taking more of a broad view of the storms making their way through. So if I do see something developing, I can go, David, let's look over here and see what's going on. So having that system, we'll be sure to really keep in our vision all the storms and how they are evolving as this line speeds through. And again, with the storm reports I'll be watching out for, wind reports as well, because I've actually already seen your comments too coming in, people saying winds picking up as the storm is making its way towards Enterprise, through Coffee County, through Covington County now. So that is likely going to be the main thing people see first. It really just depends on how well this low-level jet could maybe make storms spin up. But kind of like you said, you know, the ingredients are there. There are no guarantees yet, but that's why we want to watch how this line develops closely.
Yeah, some of the modeling, the RRFS, which is NOAA's new short-term model, was showing winds today ahead of this line gusting over 40 miles per hour, just straight line gradient winds in from the Gulf, not associated with cells. And a 40, 45 mile per hour gust, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I would say very good. Definitely noticeable, and also can shake up some of the trees as well, especially if you have weak trees. I know we've been dealing with drought for so long, so there are bound to be trees that are just not rooted very firmly, that can be tossed by wind gusts such as that. So I've already been looking at some of those wind gusts. I want to see if I can pull it back up here, but I think the biggest ones that I've seen so far are upper 20s, especially just ahead of this line. And you'll likely notice those winds picking up before that line makes its way through. What I am curious to see is also, we can touch on this a little bit too, is how temperatures will be dipping very fast behind this line, because what's driving these storms uplift is the dense cold air behind this line. A really classic, potent cold front making its way through.
Yeah, it's a huge winter storm,
Yeah.
and really, when it's all said and done, probably the most significant winter storm in this country in over 3 decades, or around 3 decades. It's been a long, long time for sure. Some of those weak trees can be insect infested as well. We've seen a lot of dead trees in the landscape because of insects, and they're standing upright, but if you get a wind gust of 35, 40 miles per hour, especially if it's wet, on that tree is wet, you know, that can come down. So yeah, the winds are certainly gusty right now, upper 30s in the panhandle, and likely at times gusting over 40 miles per hour. So we're watching it. Okay, back over to Max 2, and we'll go around the area with our Doppler radar view. And there's the main line that I'm tracking west of Troy, just west of Andalusia. This is the line that will come on through and pack the most punch. Now, ahead of that line, we've got some cells here lined up. What we're not seeing as of right now is a lot of lightning. So there's heavy rainfall, some gusty winds, but we haven't seen the uptick in lightning yet. That will change. I would be extremely surprised if we go through the afternoon and not see this light up with lightning strikes. So it's just a matter of time before that instability increases just a bit more, and we get a lot of thunder and lightning. Right now it's a lot of rain and a lot of gusty winds, but no severe weather warnings are in effect. No severe thunderstorm warnings, no tornado warnings in effect at this hour. We've got this big tornado watch in effect, but we don't have any individual warnings as of right now. Big view here, the red area is the tornado watch. It goes until 6 p.m., but it really goes until this line comes on through. Once that line passes, the threat for severe weather is over. That front is powerful. As we go northward here, to kind of get your bearings on what's happening across the country, we've got snow from parts of Missouri all the way up into D.C., New York City, seeing a tremendous snowfall today. We've got this area of freezing rain, and we've got some sleet mixed in the Carolinas, all the way through parts of Mississippi. I got some pictures from my brother around Dallas this morning. He's got ice. I mean, they've got a lot of ice in the Dallas area. But it's all rain for us. And we've got this, again, strong low-level jet, which is driving that warm air all the way up through Georgia and Tennessee into parts of Kentucky and even West Virginia. So some parts here of the South and Mid-South being spared any wintry precipitation. As that front passes and that cold air comes in on the backside, we'll see temperatures tumble overnight, but the moisture will be dried up on the roadways. So there's no threat of any freezing rain, no threat of any ice-covered roads in our area as we go into tomorrow morning. We're going to be okay on that front, but we're going to watch these showers and storms as they move on through. Check out where the front is. A big change here in temperatures. It's 70 now in Andalusia, 71 in Troy, but just behind that front, we've got temperatures dropping into the 50s. But ahead of the front, it's 77 now in Enterprise, 77 in Ozark, 77 in Chipley, 74 in Mariana. Southward is 77 in Panama City. So there's a little nose here of warm and humid air flowing northward. That's a bad number, by the way, in Abbeville. But that warm, humid air means temperatures in the middle to upper 70s and dew points in the upper 60s to about 70. So you put together the temperature and the dew point, and in meteorology we have a thing called convective available potential energy, Cape. If you watch Weather Extra during the week, Ryan and I will show the severe sandwich, we call it, and we include Cape because Cape is very important. That's energy in the atmosphere, and the Cape is increasing in this little wedge here out ahead of this line of showers and this line of showers, which means the instability will be going up, and we should see more lightning strikes here as we go through the afternoon hours. But until that rain comes in, you are going to be warm. It's going to be humid too with those temperatures well into the 70s. And then once this front passes, your severe threat is over, your rain threat is diminishing, and the cold air is coming in. So a lot happening over a very short period of time. We're a little afternoon. I think we'll keep going live here until probably 3:30 or so is what I'm thinking, until this line clears our counties. And between now and say 3:30, we will see some very active weather move on through. Notice some Boeing segments here. So this one segment coming on through Brantley at this hour, likely producing winds in excess of 40 miles per hour. Still no severe thunderstorm warnings or tornado warnings in effect, but there are pockets of gusty winds within the main line. This area of rain has been pretty steady and pretty stationary too. So nonstop rain around Victoria, the far southeastern part of Pike County, Brundage, for example. Brundage is one of those spots in Pike County that always gets rainfall. Jack in the northern part of Coffee County, one of those wet zones all the way down here into Covington County. So Andalusia, not real wet now on the east side of town. It is farther east of you, and then farther west and north too. Some pretty good rainfall. Floralis seeing some showers come on through. I'm watching in this little area around Brantley. These are storm relative winds. I'm watching for rotation. I'm not seeing any rotation, but you see a little notch here, and that's interesting because sometimes you can have just a little tiny notch all of a sudden become a really well-defined notch, and that can lead to a very brief spin-up tornado. So that's kind of the setup today. If we get tornadoes, they're not going to be classic supercells with a long track. They're more than likely going to be very brief spin-ups that last maybe 2 minutes, maybe 5-10 minutes, generally speaking, and be lower end EF0s, EF1 winds of, say, 60, 70 miles per hour to maybe 110, 120. Very quick hitting. So what we're going to do as we analyze the radar is watch for areas like this where that could be the beginning of an area of rotation that spins down real quick. Let's go over to the radar view here. Not that. Yep. So right here. So you see that little notch? That little notch is corresponding to that little pocket of rotation. We're in Pike County here, not too far away from Troy. So we're going to watch this little notch and that little pocket of rotation to see if that strengthens a little bit. And if it does, then we're going to give you the first alert that, hey, take cover. Even if there's not a tornado warning in effect, sometimes we will give you the alert before the official tornado warning comes out. So we're going to watch for that. That's a look from Troy, from our sister station WSFA, looking at the low cloud base there, the showers approaching. So there's that pocket of weak rotation. It is very weak. I'm not concerned at this hour. Looks a little bit weaker now than it did last scan, but it's an area that has just a little bit of that S shape to it, and right where that crooked part is in the S, that's the area that we watch. So okay, so that's one area that we're watching.
And I will say, David, too, that storm is starting to put out a little bit of lightning if you look a little bit to the north. So it is a little bit more energized than the line of showers we've been tracking so far.
Where do you see those lightning strikes?
Just north of Pike County, right outside toward Raymer.
Oh, right there.
Yeah.
Boom.
So a couple.
Where is it? I'm covering it up. Right there. So yeah, a couple there. So a couple lightning strikes. As I mentioned, just a matter of time before we get more lightning. That indicates rising air motion, and that rising air motion can help give birth to some pockets of rotation. So there's a look at the radar. Let's go back over to the storm relative velocity, watching that one little pocket there by Pike County. And then southward, more or less just a band of wind coming on through right now. I'm not seeing anything real concerning as we look at the radar, but it's heavy. The rain is heavy out there for sure. Some of that now is kind of moving into the western part of Barber County. So between Troy and Eufaula, some heavy rainfall. Notice the red showing up. And then we've got a little bit of a break. And then here comes the main line, which is the cold front, moving very quickly through Pike County. Crenshaw County looking good now. Brantley, some heavy rainfall and some gusty winds, but the northern part of Crenshaw County is pretty tranquil. Southward, some showers and storms coming on through Andalusia right now and the rest of Covington County. A lot to watch here, Ryan. I'm going to dig into some data. Go ahead and let us know what you're looking at.
Yeah, so what I've been really tracking is power outages associated with this storm as of right now, which there have been some power outages for places such as Montgomery County, Lowndes County, Butler County. Into Crenshaw County, there seems to be over 600 people without power, according to poweroutage.com. It's a great resource to see power outages from different electric companies and cooperatives out there. I'm not seeing many power outages yet for any areas into the Wiregrass, such as Coffee, Dale, Geneva counties. The Wiregrass Electric Cooperative has reported a few outages, but likely not associated with these storms that are passing through, because as of right now, again, they've been more of those passing showers. Then again, some of the winds that have been put out by these lines, especially as they're coming in, wind gusts, I saw have already been up to the 20s. Actually, I'll go ahead and try to pull that up real quick to show off some of those wind gusts. So you can see ahead of that line for many areas such as Enterprise and Geneva, we're getting up towards more of those teens to 20s for those wind gusts. Take a look at Troy, if that sensor is correct, and also the direction of that wind, now turning more from the northwest as that line makes its way through. That's the direction and winds that we're going to see as that cold front passes as well. We'll change from southerly winds coming up from the Gulf to northwesterly winds bringing in that cold, but we can see where that storm is coming through. Those wind gusts already up to the upper 30s. Someone actually just asked within the Facebook stream earlier too, what kind of wind gusts could we see with that general line of storms? I'm thinking right now wind gusts generally between 30 to 45 miles per hour, but you can have points where the line or spots of the line do strengthen in wind gusts as well. And so we could maybe even see 50 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts associated with some bowing segments of this line if it can strengthen, or possibly even greater. The main thing to remember too, a severe thunderstorm, I said this in my message too, a severe thunderstorm is exhibiting winds 58 miles per hour or greater as well. I know for this area we're used to seeing severe thunderstorm boxes issued when we even look at the radar and see 40 mile per hour wind gusts, but it's just generally good to watch each of those storms too, because they're possessing that kind of strength. But this is the current wind gusts that you're seeing right now. So anyone towards Coffee County, especially in Pike County right now, towards Covington, as that line's making its way through, you're starting to see those stronger winds. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to back towards the radar here to show where we are. But yeah, those winds, that's really what you're going to see more of right now, while we are still waiting for any of these storms to produce more strength or possibly even more warnings. But David is back. I'll go ahead and toss back to him. David, as you're getting back, are you seeing anything new? I think we're just still kind of watching out for those little notches towards Pike County right now.
Yeah, just watching a little uptick in the lightning strikes, and I think that's the beginning of what we're going to see here over the next couple of hours. Hour or two is just a lot more lightning showing up. Some of those are popping right here in Coffee County out ahead of that main line. Some of these areas, I mean, that's 1 hour of some heavy rainfall over the western part of Coffee County, so it's really coming down. That's why we have at least a lower end threat for some flooding, localized flooding, ponding on roadways, because some areas will get over 2 inches of rain over a fairly short period of time. And then I'm watching some of these cells farther southward into the panhandle. These are kind of on their own. We look for that kidney bean shape, and there's some indication of that south of Florala over both Okaloosa and Walton counties. Basically, both of these have some cells that have some spin potential to them. So we're going to watch these and see if they, as they move northward, intensify a little bit. And if any of these cells start producing lightning, that's kind of a trouble sign, because there's a lot of wind shear in the atmosphere. Rising air motion can tap into that wind shear and produce isolated tornadoes. And there are some lightning strikes here off to the west and southwest of Falco. This is some really heavy rainfall. You see dark red showing up. intense rainfall with the actual cold front coming on through. And that cold front, when it passes, will drop temperatures by 10, 20 degrees over a very, very short period of time. You go from essentially a south wind to a northwest wind, and it's really a night and day difference. That's how powerful this cold front is. And that cold front is important because that cold dense air is kind of like, have you ever seen a snowplow come on through? It just kind of like blows that snow up. It does the same thing, that cold front, with the air. It kind of blows that warm air up as that cold air comes in. So right ahead of that push of cold, dry air, you get the uplift and you get the showers and storms. This line is moving very quickly through Covington County and Pike County. These individual cells out ahead of that main line will likely converge. Looks like we're going to get convergence of this prefrontal rain and these cells. So by the time we get to, say, Barber County down towards Enterprise and then into Geneva County near Sampson, we're likely to have just one solid line that moves on through Henry County into Houston County, the rest of Geneva County, and then into Holmes County. So we're going to see all this come together into one massive line. There could be some new cells that pop out ahead of that main line, but for us, as we go through the next couple hours here analyzing the radar, the focus will be on the main line, and we'll keep watching these cells out ahead of that main line, but the main focus will be as we go through the next hour or so on that main line of storms. This is storm relative velocity, this is base velocity, two different views of what the winds are doing in the atmosphere. And as I animate this, we're just going to kind of analyze. And again, no severe weather warnings and effects. We're not seeing winds in excess of 58 miles per hour, and we're not seeing any tornado threat as of right now. But there are some gusty winds here, over, say, 20, 30 miles per hour, moving on through parts of Covington County. There's a little bit of a notch showing up right there in the southwestern part of Covington County. We're going to watch that, and then we're watching those cells come on through Pike County with heavy rainfall and some gusty winds. Northward, this is using Fort Rucker radar. Some of the worst winds that we're seeing just north of our area. Notice this Boeing line segment pushing off to the east. There's Auburn, that front coming on through Auburn, then Opelika. A little bit of a notch showing up again north of our area. But let's go over to the storm relative velocity and then the reflectivity. So within that area. Yeah.
And I went ahead and switched over to our raw sky camera. Okay. If you just take a look at that too, you can see a little bit more of the shaking of the winds on that camera too. So yeah, you can see the effect of that coming through into parts of Coffee County and into Enterprise.
Yeah, gusty south winds in excess of 30 miles per hour in gusts. Temperatures now in the upper 70s in Enterprise ahead of that line of rain. And some lightning strikes here. Some lightning strikes are showing up in Coffee County. There's a look at Elba. Very heavy rainfall in Elba, in Victoria, also down there towards Opp. Opp is very wet. And this area has been very wet now for the past hour. This is a 1 hour animation. So if you are watching us from Elba, you have been in that narrow band of heavy rainfall. So this is what we worry about as far as localized flooding, because band 1 in place right now, band 2 coming in, and that's where we're going to see this convergence, because this isn't going anywhere. It's kind of being stuck in place more or less because we've got that really warm, humid air coming in. So you got some convergence right here. And then we've got the cold front coming in. So these two will merge. And once that happens, we'll see that kind of make the move off to the east and probably see some intensification. So we're going to watch very closely what happens in Barber County and then into Coffee County and then southward into Geneva County, because this will come together. And this cold front, that push, will kind of help enhance the updraft, the rising air motion, and lead to perhaps a little higher severe threat here over the next couple hours. Individual cells southward, it's raining pretty good now in Florala. Southward into the Panhandle, Okaloosa, and Walton counties, both seeing some individual cells. I'm not seeing any significant rotation with these cells. Let me go over to the storm relative velocity, and we'll animate this. And you don't see any red and green coming together, which is fantastic news. Let's talk about that little notch that we're seeing there in Covington County. And I'll go back over to the radar. We'll go to the now view and zoom in here to the area around Falco. So we've got a very, very heavy batch of rainfall. There's just a little bit of a notch showing up there as we look at the reflectivity view. not enough to really be concerned about as far as reflectivity. But if we look inside the storm, with the storm relative velocity, there's some inbound versus outbound. So there's a little pocket of weak rotation here off to the west of Falco. This is within that main line. And as I mentioned earlier, our best chance for isolated tornadoes will be on the leading edge of that main line because it kind of maximizes the shear in the atmosphere. You've got good rising air motion, you've got that low-level jet, so the leading edge can lead to pockets of rotation. These are usually EF0, EF1 type tornadoes, very quick hitting. They hit one area and then they lift up, and you can have a very narrow path. I mean, I'm talking maybe 200 feet wide by maybe a couple miles. So a very, very narrow path of damage where these little spin-ups occur. But this could be the beginning of a spin-up. We look for that S shape. You can kind of see that S shape right there, just to the west of Falco. So we're going to watch this next scan come in and see if there's any tightening of that pocket of rotation or if it kind of loosens up a little bit. And this is what we have to do today. We have to really be keen on picking up these little pockets of rotation because they can be a quick hitting tornado and then they can be gone. So if you're watching us from Falco, anywhere here in the southern part of Covington County, that's kind of your first alert. Yeah, we don't have a tornado warning or a severe thunderstorm warning in effect, but there's some threat developing over the southwestern part of Covington County. So I would say just look at that, be in a safe spot as this comes on through. So in one scan, we saw that jump from here to here, and there's still some rotation. That's how quickly this line is moving. And this radar, when it goes into severe mode, updates that lowest scan, which is what we're looking at, every minute or 2 minutes. So that gives you an idea of just how fast this line is moving because it jumped from just west of Falco to just east of Falco. So that said, if you are watching us here from the southern part of Covington County, I'm watching this little notch. It's not a tornado now, but there's some rotation in the sky. Outbound winds here, inbound winds here, some rotation. This is using the Eglin radar in the panhandle. So inbound versus outbound, a little pocket of rotation on the leading edge of the main line of showers and embedded thunderstorms. And there's a little bit of an appendage there. You see that little notch showing up on the reflectivity. This little feature is rotation, and it's moving eastward. Again, we don't have the radar beam just scanning this one section of the storm. So when the next scan comes in, it's going to be somewhere towards Huckaville in the southern part of Covington County. This is what we're facing today. Quick hitting, isolated pockets of rotation. We're trying to give you that first alert. If you are watching us from the southern part here of Covington County, please be somewhere safe just in case this spins up and puts down winds of 60, 70, 80 miles per hour in an EF0 tornado here, the southern part of Covington County. Let's zoom out here, get our bearings, check out what else is happening across the area. If there is a tornado warning, that would extend into parts of Geneva and probably Coffee counties. We're not at that point yet, but there's a little bit of an S shape, a little bit of a notch in that main line, and today's setup favors little S shapes, little notches in that main line that can lead to brief spin-up tornadoes. I'm not seeing any other areas of concern. We'll go back over to the base velocity, big view. Winds here over Covington County, generally 20 to 30 miles per hour, 40 miles per hour in gusts. And then northward here, some winds coming on through Pike County. Nothing up there is real concerning. There's a little pocket, let's zoom into that. Up here in the northern part, I'm going to use the Fort Rucker radar. So just this little, I'm just using my eyes here, my trained eyes, to kind of analyze some little pockets like this. Let's go over to the reflectivity. That's embedded within this area of rain. Again, a little bit of an S shape right here. That's in the northern part of Coffee County. Ryan, I'm going to focus on this. You keep your eyes on that cell there by Falco in Covington County on Max 1. Okay, so yeah, just a little bit here of, again, a little bit of rotation with this cell. 1235, Frisco, Chestnut Grove. We're looking at the northern part here of Coffee County for some hints of rotation. And this is a difficult situation today as the meteorologist because we're going to have these little spins. You see that little spin? It's a weak area of spin. At any moment, these little spins, which is basically the clouds rotating in the sky, at any moment, that rotation up above can just pop down and then go right back up. You've probably seen videos of tornadoes in your lifetime on television, on YouTube, you name it. Sometimes you get a quick hitting funnel cloud to come down and then lift back up. So we're giving you the first alert on a couple areas here that are not tornadic right now, but they're in environments that are favorable for brief spin-ups. The first one here is the northern part of Coffee County, not too far away from Frisco. This little area right here. And then I'm going to move down, and we're looking at this little area right here in Covington County also, right there. So two areas that we're watching here on Doppler radar. Both of those areas are along the leading edge of the main line of showers and thunderstorms. So that little appendage right there off to the east of Falco, a rural area here of Covington County, your first alert, heads up. Hey, get someplace safe if you are near Huckabee because it's coming in your direction. Not saying it's going to spin up into a tornado, but there's certainly a chance. A few more notches southward. Let's check these out here in the Panhandle. Yeah, look at that. So a little bit of spin right here, a little bit of spin right here, a little bit of spin right here. I'm telling you what, as we go through the next couple hours, I would not be surprised, there's a lightning strike, to see multiple tornado warnings come out because we're going to have multiple areas of spin, new lightning showing up too. So the conditions really ramping up here, and they will continue to ramp up very quickly between now and 1 o'clock. And between 1 and 2 and 3 o'clock, I mean, I'm telling you what, we're going to be busy here watching these showers and storms. So if you are watching our live stream, tell your friends, let people know when it gets bad to tune us in because we're going to be here watching it. We're on the live streams now. We will be cutting into TV programming as needed this afternoon. Watching two areas here. One is in the northern part of Coffee County. Right there, we're watching a couple areas of some gusty winds here in Covington County. You see that little area? This is what I'm talking about too. That's not much right there. That's not much. But that could be just enough to produce a very quick spin-up tornado, and it's embedded within rain. It's off to the west of Brundage and south of Troy. We'll watch that spin also, and I'm telling you, we're going to see a lot of these little spins, and any of them could briefly spin up. And sometimes they produce tornadoes and damage, and a tornado warning never comes out. So don't rely on, well, there's no tornado warning, I'm safe. I'm telling you, all right? We're trying to do this to be out ahead of any warnings that come out and give you the heads up that this area is rotating, and it may produce a tornado very briefly. I'm talking 2-3 minutes at a very narrow damage track without any warning ever being issued. So watch us, tell your friends, watch us. We've got a lot of experience here, and we're tracking these storms as they come on through. Watching a little area here, looks a little bit better off to the east now of Falco, and then watching these little pockets of rotation as we look southward into the Panhandle. No severe thunderstorm warnings in effect, no tornado warnings in effect at this hour, but we've got the line of showers and embedded thunderstorms coming on through, and it's a very active looking radar view across the Wiregrass right now. You can go ahead and kill that box here for a second if you don't mind, Jonathan. Let me zoom in here in a couple of areas. I'm going to go northward here first of all and show you Troy over towards Clio, over towards Clayton here in Barber County. Heavy rainfall ahead of the main line, and then some heavy rainfall with the main line. The main line is going to merge with this prefrontal line, and this will become the main line, and then it kicks eastward. So it's all kind of being pancaked together, and then it moves eastward, and we're going to see an uptick here in storm intensity, in lightning, and in some cases in rain, and the spin potential over the next hour to 2 hours. Southward into the northern part of Coffee County. Heavy rainfall. Some of that now is working into the far northwestern part of Dale County, so we're going to watch the northern part, western part of Dale County for an uptick in thunderstorm intensity. Right now it's really kind of focused in Coffee County. Here comes that line. Look at that, from Brantley all the way through Jack in a very short period of time. That did that stretch in about 30 minutes. So there's a very strong eastward push as that cold, dense air comes in from the northwest behind that cold front. And on that note, once you get that wind shift, and you'll know where you live because your temperature will be dropping, and you'll notice the winds coming in from the northwest. Once that happens, you're done. Your severe threat is over. That tornado watch is no longer valid because that tornado threat is gone. The threat for tornadoes with that tornado watch is along the leading edge of this boundary and points eastward. Once that front passes, it's done, all right? Cold air comes in, lingering rain, but no more severe threat. That main line will come together and merge with this prefrontal line from, say, Clio down towards near Elba at this hour, and then southward into the Panhandle. Some new cells popping up, looking at Geneva County, near Coffee Springs, near Sampson, near Geneva, over towards the southern part there of Dale County, the far western part of Houston County. All of these areas seeing some new development, and we'll keep watching these cells. We're not seeing an uptick in lightning, which is good news. We're seeing just very, very fast-moving showers coming in from the south. It's such a dynamic atmosphere today. This winter storm is very, very impressive. We got the warm sector where we are. We've got the cold air coming southward, and we've got this really energized low-level jet. Then you go higher up into the sky, 18, 20, 25, 30,000 feet. You've got a good mid-level, upper-level jet stream, too, carrying everything to the northeast. So a lot of wind energy in the atmosphere, a lot of instability down low where we live, and it's adding up to a very potent atmosphere, really, for most of the Wiregrass. We will keep monitoring these areas of rotation. So what are we looking at this hour? There's, let's see, we got two different radars we're using here. This is Eglin, and then we've got Fort Rucker to the north. Let's look at some pockets of rotation here in the northern part of the Panhandle. And these gusty winds are occurring also, and that's going to cause some power issues. And Ryan's going to speak to that here in just a minute. Watching a little area by Elba, and there's that little remnant area of weak rotation there, pretty much by, say, Pike and Dale and Barber and Coffee counties, and then a line of some gusty winds coming on through Barber County. That looks to be a straight delineation there between northwest winds and south winds, so I'm not seeing any pockets of rotation anywhere in that area, which is some good news. Okay, back over to the radar view here, a big view of what we're watching here. No severe weather warnings in effect, all right, because the winds are not 58 miles per hour or greater, so no severe thunderstorm warnings, and no intense pockets of rotation that have led to tornado warnings yet. I hope that stays the case all the way through the afternoon. But even without warnings, we're seeing some heavy rainfall and some gusty winds. And the risk for more power outages just from the straight line winds, the gradient winds, I should say, ahead of the main line of storms. For more on the power issue, here's Ryan.
Yeah, David, so what we've been watching out for as we continue to track these storms and notches, you know, I've even touched on looking at those wind gusts a little bit earlier, and already we're seeing wind gusts between 30 to even trying to make their way towards the lower 40s, other areas in the 20s, but that's what you see when you have this really prominent line of showers and thunderstorms, a lot of pressure differences, especially between where you can have the really warm sector that we're watching out that's providing the fuel for these storms, and then just behind it that cold. So winds are definitely very prominent for this severe weather event today and can be causing some power outages. And one more time, I'm going to refresh this. This is poweroutage.com, a very good resource to see multiple power outages throughout different counties throughout the U.S. And we've used this before as well. And you can see those highlighted boxes with multiple counties where there are where many customers with different companies and cooperatives are experiencing power outages. And so Crenshaw County, last time I checked, was around just over 650, but now they have jumped to over 2,000 customers without power too. So that is likely as that line continued to make its way through, now making its way through Pike County as well, producing some lightning and also some wind gusts as of right now. Let's go back to the main map, and where we saw that line make its way through earlier, more of those power outage numbers are continuing to come in. Let's check out for Butler County, also at 2,000. Actually, I may have clicked on Butler County by mistake earlier. Let's go back. Let's see if that's the same thing. Crenshaw, okay. I clicked on Butler County earlier. Now we're on Crenshaw, and that is just under 700 customers without power as you track 7,000. So quite a few in terms of power outages throughout that county. But yeah, you can see the really bigger amounts the further west that you go. Let's take a look at Lowndes County. Customers out 1,900 out of those 7,000 that are tracked as well. So it is important to know that, and I've seen this through the comments that we've gotten through people watching on Facebook and also our stream, that many people are experiencing those winds. Even power flickers is what they were saying through parts of Pike County. So that is one of the main risks that you can also see as this line continues through. But for Florida, where again those storms are really just starting to make their way into parts of the Panhandle, not seeing much in terms of power outages there. But depending on how strong these storms are, especially as they can tap into that warmth and moisture directly from the Gulf, we could still see some power outages towards parts of Jackson County, Holmes County, Washington County. So we'll keep an eye on those Florida counties as this line continues through. Let's go to the Wiregrass Electric Cooperative map as well. We've seen a few where some of these showers have made their way through, but also winds have been picking up for some of those areas. So Sampson has seen more of those power outages starting to accrue a little bit more. This is new, 378 estimated without power right now. Likely also due, again, where you can see winds just even 20 to 30 miles per hour. A lot of trees and farmland in this area where power lines are close to those trees if they haven't been rooted properly, or also are experiencing some drought. They can easily be pushed over by some of those wind gusts and create some power outages too. So we are seeing more of those roll in. Let's take a look at Alabama Power and see some of those power outage numbers. Not seeing much coming in. Maybe a couple towards some customers towards Ozark as well. We're going to continue watching more of these numbers to see if they can roll in, and towards Dothan, because Dothan Utilities is also a really great resource to check those out. But I'm going to toss things back over to David. Have you seen anything new as we're tracking that line? It seems to be that prefrontal line of showers is now converging with those other showers and thunderstorms.
Yeah, that's becoming the main line from Barber County into Coffee County. I'm watching this cell very closely in Covington County. We gave you the first alert a while ago on this cell approaching Florala off to the east of Falco. This little notch in the radar, that is a pocket of rotation that looks pretty impressive. So we're going to watch that very closely, because there is that S shape showing up right there between Florala and Falco. This could very easily become a brief spin-up tornado. Watching some gusty winds coming on through Op. This is the front, by the way, so once that passes, you are in the clear, including now in Andalusia. You're fine. Falco, you are fine, but the leading edge, Op southward towards that area west of Florala, watching very, very closely as we look at the storm relative velocity. I'm also watching, I know it's not much, but this little pocket here northwest of Crestview, that's a look at inbound versus outbound. That is rotation in the atmosphere, and this setup today won't give us these big, massive tornadoes that are very, very easy to identify. This setup favors very quick-hitting, short-lived, isolated, brief spin-up tornadoes, and the Doppler radar signature sometimes only looks like this. So I know there's no tornado warning in effect, but if I'm nearby, if I have any family or friends nearby, I'm giving them a call or a text right now. Likely south or southeast of Huckabee, north of Florala. We'll wait for the new scan to come in. These scans are coming in every minute or 2 minutes or 3 minutes, so it's here on the radar view as we look at it, but in reality it could be crossing 55 and be approaching 331 there north of Florala. This could, I'll tell you, I've seen these brief spin-up tornadoes occur with nothing more than this on Doppler radar, because we're scanning a couple thousand feet up into the sky, and that rotation underneath what we're looking at can be intense. So you can have a funnel cloud. Yeah, so I'd be issuing a tornado warning on this cell if I could have that power. This is now from Mobile office, National Weather Service would have to issue it, but that is a signature of a developing tornado north of Florala. Your first alert, third alert, fifth alert right now, north of Florala, watching this pocket of rotation east of Huckabee. McRae, heads up to you, watching the western part of Geneva County. You know, my heart rate jumps up a little bit when I start seeing stuff like this. So let's go over to our live stream on WRGX if you can. Jonathan in the back, let's kick over to our live coverage on WRGX and let me know when that is up. We'll continue the live stream here as well and then cut into WTVY as needed. Watching two areas, also watching this area north of Crestview. We're on live. Okay, so welcome to our television crowd viewership on WRGX. I'm Chief Meteorologist David Paul with meteorologist Ryan Duggar, tracking showers and storms coming on through the Wiregrass, and we look to be on the verge of a couple tornado warnings, potentially. One here is in Covington County, northwest of Florala. Another area is right here, that is in the Panhandle, off to the north of Crestview. A main line of showers and storms is working on through the Wiregrass, and we've got these little notches and pockets of rotation showing up, so I would not be surprised to see a tornado warning issued for parts of the Panhandle, Okaloosa County, and then northward into the southern, southeastern part of Covington County. I'm watching this main line, some other pockets of rotation farther northward here, looking up into Barber County, southward into parts of Pike County, Coffee County, some pockets of weak rotation. As we go down this line, I'm really watching this one area. See how that stands out, that little notch? Very, very intense rainfall and a pocket of intense winds in the atmosphere. We'll wait for the new scan to come in. I will mention there are no severe thunderstorm or tornado warnings in effect as we track these showers and storms. We're tracking this live nonstop on the WTVY streaming platforms, on Facebook as well, the News 4 app, and now on WRGX for live coverage in anticipation of a potential tornado warning coming out there for Covington County. We are watching this very, very closely. It's a warm, it's a humid day, it's a windy day, and we've got this line of showers and storms coming in from the west and northwest. Once that line passes, your severe threat, tornado threat, pretty much goes away, all right? So we're watching for the leading edge of this line just north of Crestview. That's a pocket of rotation, could easily spin up into a brief tornado. And then this area looks even more promising, I hate to use that word, for tornado development north and now probably northeast of Florala. We'll wait for the new scan to come in and see what it looks like, but this will cross 331 north of Florala, move into the southeastern corner here of Covington County. That camera is from our live view in Enterprise, the southwestern part of Enterprise. So we're looking towards this general direction. There's some rain occurring now in Enterprise. So we don't have a great view of this particular storm. But as we look at the radar view, as we use Doppler radar to kind of peer into the storm, there is rotation with that cell in the southeastern part of Covington County. Just kind of waiting here on that new scan to come in and watching this pocket also north of Crestview. As we look up there towards Enterprise, I'll switch over to the radar view. Some showers coming on through. So that camera was right here. It's looking in that direction. You've got raindrops on the lens because you're kind of cutting through all that rain. A little notch there showing up, and this main line will kind of absorb these prefrontal showers coming in, and it kind of just helps the updraft become even stronger. So any of these cells over the next couple hours will have the potential to rotate and produce isolated tornadoes. Still looking at that pocket of rotation on this scan, northwest of Florala, waiting for the new scan. Usually it's every 2 minutes or so, but depends on how they have the radar set, how they have the mode for the radar set, because the radar does one scan and then goes up a level, does the scan, goes up a level. Each scan takes a minute, and there are 6 different scans to do to get a full vertical profile of the atmosphere. So what we're watching here is the lowest scan, the 0.5 degree angle scan, and that usually comes out every 2-3 minutes depending on how the radar is set up. But pocket of rotation here in Okaloosa County, pocket of rotation here in Florala. If I'm living in this area, I'm going someplace safe because this has potential tornado written all over it here, a brief spin-up occurring somewhere north or northeast of Florala. We've got the tornado watch in effect. Once this line passes, that tornado watch will be dropped because that threat will be going away as that front passes. But a very strong area of rotation, the leading edge of this line coming on through. Ryan, it's kind of frustrating that these radar scans are not coming in a little bit quicker, but we're watching that area there. Because there's rotation. We don't see it as well with the Fort Rucker radar. We're kind of far away, but with the Eglin, you can certainly see it.
Yeah, of course. I've been watching that too. And the biggest thing I've been switching back and forth from as we continue watching these notches is kind of looking at our debris tracker, seeing if we can see a little bit more of a drop in those correlation coefficient values, which typically means there's debris being lofted, and that helps to create a radar confirmation for us that a tornado is on the ground. So I've been switching in between, haven't seen any returns, and of course, looking at this product, it does take a little bit longer compared to the updates when you get reflectivity and the base velocity, or also the storm relative velocity. Those come in a little bit quicker than what we see for our debris tracker, but that's something I've definitely been watching out for. But these S shapes, these notches, have been impressive. So far, really the most promising of those notches that we've seen so far this afternoon. So these continue to bear watching, but I would have to agree, for anyone that is close by, find your safe place now, because even though these aren't warned, it doesn't take long for them to make their way to the surface. So they could be on the surface before even the warning is issued. So be prepared for that for anyone that is around Florala towards Highway 331. Just be aware of that, especially for people just north of Crestview, too.
Yeah, there's a new scan coming in right there, so not too far away from McRae. This will move into the far western and northwestern part of Geneva County. So you see Earlytown, Sampson, Piney Grove, Lowry on the map, South Arvonica, Kinston. This is that pocket of rotation by McRae. It's a little bit weaker now than it was last scan, which is good, but it still has rotation potential. So there it was. And I'll be honest, this could have dropped very quickly. A funnel cloud that became a tornado as it crossed over 331. So if there's some damage north of Florala from that cell, I would not be surprised. We still see the S shape showing up right like this. Okay, so we've got, this is using Eglin down there, Red Bay. Winds blowing down like this, winds blowing up like this. So there's the pocket of rotation still evident in the atmosphere over the far southeastern part of Covington County. It will move up into Geneva County. So west of Sampson, if you're watching us from Sampson, this is your first alert. Be somewhere safe as this cell comes in, this line of showers with embedded thunderstorms, because very quickly you'll see some showers and then a dark cloud, and then within that dark cloud there could be some rotation. So there's look at 331 here north of Florala. There's the little notch showing up on Doppler radar, which is that pocket of rotation. Southward into the Panhandle, I'm going to switch back over here to the velocity view, the storm relative. This is the other area of rotation that we're watching. There's Campton, there's Auburn here in the Panhandle. Outbound winds, inbound winds, there's the S shape that we're looking at. That's a pocket of rotation. I can't emphasize this enough. The setup today is most favorable for these areas of rotation within the leading edge of this main line that will be quick hitting, brief, gustnado type tornadoes that do damage over a very narrow area over a relatively short path. I'm talking a couple hundred feet by maybe a couple miles. I mean, just in and out very quickly. So anytime you see anything like this or like this, and if you're in the track of those pockets of rotation, my best advice is to be somewhere safe just in case you get a spin up. And, you know, we've seen, the issue is, we've seen a lot of trees fall on houses, on trailers, and the trees cause a lot of damage, can even cause death. So think about where your trees are, and you know, you want to find a place, a safe place away from exterior walls and windows, but also, if you can, away from any big trees that you have outside. Sometimes you can't avoid the trees around your home, but if you can, just kind of think about that as we go through the afternoon hours. Tornado watch in effect for basically this area eastward. Northward in Troy, Pike County, you're good. Threats over. Cold air coming in. Crenshaw County, you're good. Covington County, outside of the far southeastern part of Covington County, you're good, all right? So Dothan, we're waiting. Looks like sometime around 2 o'clock when that main line comes on into Dothan. So if you're running some errands in Dothan, Headland, up towards Abbeville, Mariana, over towards, say, Hartford, Slocum, Rehoboth, you've got a little time, but if I wasn't working today, I would try to be home as the line comes on through. Then you can go back out when the line is gone. But for that period when that line comes on through, you want to be at home. So we have a new severe thunderstorm warning in effect. So you're going to see this a lot because we're switching from Birmingham's coverage area, Barber and Pike, Mobile's National Weather Service coverage area, which is Crenshaw and Covington counties, into Tallahassee's severe weather coverage area, county warning area, which is Coffee, Dale, Henry. Tallahassee issues, I mean, they issue warnings. So you're going to see a lot more warnings come up with these cells moving into southeast Alabama, partly a function of the NWS office, and then partly a function of the fact that the storms will be intensifying. So we're going to keep breaking down, because all of us may see warnings here in southeast Alabama. We're not all going to see actual severe thunderstorms. So we're going to dissect the atmosphere and keep you abreast of what is happening minute by minute, basically, as we go through the afternoon hours. Southward here, still watching these two areas of spin within that main line, within the leading edge of that main line. One here is north of Crestview, north of I-10. That is in Okaloosa County, moving off to the northeast, more or less. And then another area here which doesn't look quite as bad as it did earlier, but there's still some spin showing up right here. If this spun up briefly and dropped a funnel cloud and did some damage, somewhere in here, I would not be surprised, because these little brief spin-up tornadoes would look just like that on Doppler radar. There was no tornado warning in effect for that cell, but there could be some damage, and if you see any damage, if you know of anyone in this area, Ryan is monitoring the Facebook feed. We'll try to get that information from you. This is a two-way street today, all right? We're talking to you, you talk to us, and let us know what you're seeing. As we go northward here, watching this area in Covington County, I'm looking at base velocity here, switching over to the Fort Rucker radar up to where this new severe thunderstorm warning is in effect. That's base velocity, that's storm relative. Base velocity here has some strong winds, the northwestern part here of this warning area. That is in Coffee County. Ayrton is seeing some gusty winds. I'm not seeing any rotation in this area, but this is that line merging with the actual cold front. So we had that prefrontal line of rain that was stationary basically from Coffee County up into Barber County, and then we had the cold front come in. So as we mentioned, when that happens, you get really good convergence, you get pretty good uplift in the atmosphere, and the higher the storms go in the sky, the more wind energy there is, and then those winds from up above can be transferred down to the ground in the heavy rainfall. That's a downward transfer of momentum. So that's what we're looking at here over parts of Coffee County into Dale County into Barber County. That warning, this is where it gets tricky. I mean, just from a meteorological perspective, it gets tricky because there's the warning. You see that yellow line? It includes, let's see, Dale County, it includes Henry County, does not include Barber County. Why is that? The storm is the same intensity because the Birmingham National Weather Service offices issues for here, the Tallahassee office issues for here. So it gets a little difficult in the Wiregrass because we've got 3 different offices and they all issue differently. Birmingham is really good. If Birmingham issues a warning, there's probably legit winds. Tallahassee will probably blanket a lot of the area, so we'll really have to dissect what is happening in the Wiregrass as we go through time. So there's a warning cone. There's some gusty winds up here for sure in the northern part, northeastern part of Coffee County. Now, it gets a little messy too when you look at the radar because you think, wow, there's blue everywhere. These are all severe winds. They're not. We've got to kind of look at where the winds are strong and where they're occurring within heavy rainfall, because this area will produce a lot stronger winds than what's happening up here. So when you look at this radar view, Ayrton southward here and southwestward into Coffee County, some lightning strikes, a core of stronger winds. So if there's any damaging winds occurring, it's over this relatively small area moving from Coffee County into the northwestern corner here of Dale County. Ayrton, you are in the path. Be somewhere safe, away from exterior walls and windows. Rocky Head 2 in the northwestern part of Dale County, be somewhere safe. These winds, as they come in, will be coming in more or less from the westerly direction. I go back to the trees because I've seen fatalities during severe weather events and hurricanes from trees falling on houses and on mobile homes. So please think about the trees outside your home, and if the winds come in from this direction and a tree falls like this, you don't want to be in the path of that tree. Trees can do more damage than actual winds. I mean, the trees fall because of the winds, but you can have a house that has no trees around it and be fine. The damage occurs when a tree falls on that house. So Really respect the trees across your property. Lightning strike, lightning is kind of lighting up here in the northern and northwestern part of Dale County. Ayrton to Rocky Head, you are under a severe thunderstorm warning, and there is a pocket of strong winds right in through here, the far northern, northwestern part of Dale County into Barber County. So heads up in Barber County also for some very strong winds coming on through. I'm going to go from base over to storm relative velocity. Watching that area, is that a new severe thunderstorm warning? Of course it is.
Yes, yeah. It encompasses that entire line making its way through. I'm guessing they issued that based off of the
radar intensity.
Yeah, exactly, the wind intensity coming through. So
it's a challenge from our perspective, a communication challenge, because these storms, they're not going to be severe everywhere, but there's going to be that threat in there. So we're going to really have to dissect what part of these cells are most intense, because I'm not a fan of blanket severe thunderstorm warnings, because we know the weather is bad, right? I want to focus on, this is the area, this little area here is the damage area, this area, wherever it is. So that's our job today. Off my soapbox for a second. And back to the radar analysis here. Watching base velocity here as this cell moves from Okaloosa into Walton counties, and then watching that little area here as it moves from Covington into Geneva County. That's base velocity. But for rotation, we're going to use the storm relative velocity and see if we can pinpoint exactly where those spins are occurring in the atmosphere. I'm going to back it up. That little spin, still evidence of it right there, but it's weaker. And then that spin that really came together north of Florala is now into Geneva County, and it is weaker. It's right in this area here, over the western part of Geneva County. We're going to keep watching that, because that area, there's still an S shape showing up right there. That will move into the area not too far away from Sampson. In Sampson right now, we've got some light showers, but we've got this line of heavy rainfall early town southward into the southeastern corner of Covington County. So within this area, we've got very strong winds. It is moving off to the east. Be weather aware in the western part here of Geneva County as that line comes on through. This is now the main line. It has merged with that prefrontal line. If we go back over the past hour, and this is that prefrontal line I was talking about, this was the main line. They've merged up here, and we're at basically peak heating for the day. Temperatures well into the 70s ahead of the line. Dew points well into the 60s ahead of the line. That's instability. Rising air motion, so the peak heating is occurring right now, which also means the peak time for potential severe weather. And right on cue, Tallahassee issuing some severe thunderstorm warnings. One up here, another bigger one right here, and we can just probably go ahead and just color in yellow for the rest of the Wiregrass, because 99% chance that they'll issue more severe thunderstorm warnings in time. And maybe some tornado warnings too, because that potential is there. Damaging straight line winds, yes, but tornadoes, all right? That is a legitimate concern today. Not a guarantee, but a legitimate concern as we go through the afternoon hours. So Florala, looking at that rainfall, moving on through with winds now coming in from the northwest. So using here the Eglin radar, what you're looking at are winds either away or towards the radar. And green is towards, so that means northwesterly winds. That's the cold front right here. If you are in the green area here, you are done with any severe threat. If you're in the red area, that means south winds, warm and humid. You are still under the threat for some strong storms to come on through. So areas west now of Enterprise, your threat is over. But if you are in Enterprise, you have that ongoing severe threat. Let me go over to the radar view here, and let's go back to that EEC cam, because we've got this little area of rain coming on through Enterprise. And
oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's a little hint of rotation. Let's scan that, Ryan. Okay, so this is the area that we're watching here. We've got heavy rainfall. We've got this lowering of the cloud base. And if you can, John, pop up the, I'm not seeing anything significant. Can you do picture-in-picture with the, the other way around actually would be great. So we're watching this area right here as we look at that camera. So that's a wall of water coming towards Enterprise. I don't know if you can flop that, switch that around. But there's the rain. Look at that, man. It's like whiteout conditions. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's coming in like a huge
Look at
wave.
that. Woo!
Wow.
Waves of rain.
No visibility.
No, I mean that's so. Now turn that camera to the left because we're going to lose any view of anything. So there's that rain coming in. Look at the motion.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Look at that. So just the rain is coming down. This is the cold front now moving into Enterprise, and it is really packing a punch with all that heavy rainfall moving on through. There's a look at the radar as it approaches Enterprise. That's what red looks like. So you see red on radar. What does it mean? It means this. It means just a wall of white of heavy rainfall and gusty winds coming on through. You can kind of see some of the trees. You don't see it as well when the trees are leafed out. They really blow, but when the trees are bare, that wind can blow through, which is good. It kind of limits the tree damage potential. But hey, we've got a lot of trees with leaves like magnolias and some oaks and pine trees. Look at that! Wow. Go lift up a little bit again, and man, yeah. So that's what it looks like now in Enterprise. Significant weather coming on through. Let's go to the Rawls camera, downtown Enterprise, because about to move into downtown Enterprise. There it is. The wind really shaking that camera. It's just strong winds. I mean, probably 40 plus miles per hour, maybe gusting to 45, 50 in downtown. That's disruptive. That's why today is a first alert weather day. We take these seriously. We issue them when the weather will be disruptive to your life. And if you're one of these people going about your day in downtown Enterprise, this is disruptive to your life. That's a whiteout of rain coming on through. A week ago, it was snow. Today, it's rain coming on through, thunderstorms and very, very gusty winds, especially just south and southeast of downtown. Very strong winds showing up here in parts of Coffee County and intense rainfall. So you can keep that picture-in-picture up, swap if you can, Jonathan, and we'll carry on here with the radar analysis as the cold front comes on through the Wiregrass. We've got severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for parts of southeast Alabama because of these gusty winds. Now, technically 58 miles per hour or greater makes it severe. This is certainly significant. Even if we don't have winds of 58 miles per hour, that's a significant thunderstorm or shower coming on through because there's not a ton of lightning strikes.
Right, and I am seeing from comments from people on stream saying they are experiencing power outages and flickers through Enterprise as well, so that does check out.
Yeah, not surprising. Again, some trees can fall, especially trees that are wet from rain, can fall with 30, 40 mile per hour wind gusts, and that is certainly a concern. Trees that are weakened, as we mentioned earlier, from drought or weakened from insect infestation or rot from the inside, sometimes those trees split and they crash down. But this is the front here from around Eufaula through now Dale County and into Enterprise and then through Geneva County and into the Panhandle. These are winds coming in from the northwest. So your threat is over, all clear in Pike County, in the western part certainly of Coffee County. Covington County, you're done. That tornado watch no longer applies to you. It's the leading edge of this cold front of the line of showers with embedded thunderstorms that poses the greatest threat for damaging straight line winds, number one, and perhaps some isolated tornadoes, number two. The tornadoes will be occurring mainly, if they occur, within the main line on the leading edge of that main line, which is why we're using the storm relative velocity product to kind of break down where potential spins are in the atmosphere.
And I might want to point out too, if you are looking at the bottom right of your screen, we may have actually lost our Enterprise Electronics camera, possibly due to power being lost as well. So if that is the case, that just shows you the effect of these winds.
Okay, so speaking of that, let's go back. Okay, yeah.
To the Rawls.
Do you have the Rawls? Can you spin it? So there's a little pocket here of stronger winds, and this did not go through downtown Enterprise. As I showed you earlier, it was just south of town, and this is what we were looking at when it came on through the area by EEC. So EEC is, let's see, roughly coming in, roughly in this area, and it came out. So that was that wall basically of rain that we saw, and this is storm relative velocity. So these are inbound winds towards the radar site. Very good look here. We don't have much of an outbound, but there's a little core of stronger winds. I'm going to go over to the base velocity here and pinpoint what we're looking at here. So there's that. I'm in the way. There's the core of stronger winds, and right now it's by Coppinville, and it's moving towards Fort Rucker. I know it says Fort Novosel. We got to update that map back to Fort Rucker. But there's the core of stronger winds, and let's just do some wind speed analysis because we got some blue showing up here. So that's a 78, 68. So there could be a legitimate core here of winds gusting over 60 miles per hour over parts of Coffee County. And that's what we're going to do here today because we're going to have these big warnings in effect. We really want to pinpoint exactly where that threat is within these bigger warnings because this is significant. That little pocket is significant. And these are gusty winds too. I'm a little more concerned about the winds here because that aligns with the radar. So we're kind of using the combination of not just the colors on the radar, but where the colors match the rain that's occurring because there's a difference in wind speeds. Even though it's the same color here to here, the winds are not the same. So it gets a little complicated from just a lay viewer standpoint. We're trying to pinpoint exactly where the strongest winds are within that line. Not seeing any damage or signature of debris or anything like that, but there's some strong winds here right around level plains moving towards Fort Rucker. And if we go back over to the base velocity, it's somewhere right around level plains, right along 84, and there's Daleville. So level plains towards Daleville on 84, that's the pocket of really strong winds. This comes on through Fort Rucker, and we've got some observation sites there, so we should get a decent feel for what those winds are as they come on through that area, Fort Rucker area, north and south of 84. But level plains right now, if I hold my hand here and switch over to the reflectivity, that aligns. You see the alignment of the bright colors, the blue colors with the radar gives us confidence that there are some potentially damaging straight line winds in that part of really not so much Coffee County now, but moving into Dale County.
Yeah, and actually as you're highlighting that, David, if you're on base velocity, check out possibly, right over Ozark.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems
Let's go to the Ozark cam.
Yeah.
Pop that up. Storm relative velocity on Ozark. Nope, it's a base velocity impact. So, yeah. So, okay, over to Ozark. These winds here, probably in the same ballpark. Let me just pop this up real quick. Yeah, 58 miles per hour. So, yeah, switch it around, Jonathan, if you can again. Thank you very much. There's a look, and I'm going to pop up the, so there's the radar in Ozark, the red coming on through, which is that wall of water. So there's been an uptick here recently in the last, say, 10 minutes of the radar. So there's a look at what is a very, very strong storm, likely winds in excess of 40 to 50 miles per hour. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Ozark right now. A wall of water. And as you saw, if you were watching us from the beginning, the modeling was showing basically a lot of red, very intense storms really blowing up between 1 and 1:30, and we are at 1:18. So we're in that window between now and 1:30, and it'll carry over till 2:30 as it moves on through, but maximum intensity of these storms occurring here in the next hour, hour and a half or so as it comes on through southeast Alabama. So that's what it looks like in Ozark. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect, very heavy rainfall. Gusty winds. Can you zoom in on a tree, Ryan?
Yeah.
I think we've got some trees up here that might show us the wind speed. It's really nice when we have a flag in view because the flags show that wind so well. But we can kind of maybe zoom in here and see what's happening.
Possibly.
Yeah. They're not moving that much. I guess that's some good news.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of rain.
Much. Yes, a lot of rain. Big wall of water, like you were saying. If I do see any gusts, especially towards the surface, because I know these trees towards Main Street are pretty good. But you can also see the water kind of going away from the camera, so that is an effect of the winds as well.
Okay, two more areas. Let's go back over to the radar because a lot is happening here, all right? So we're in that zone now where it's one thing after another. A little area of rotation. Can you pick it out? Right here, we are now southward in the Panhandle. So there's a look at I-10, there's Crestview, this is Okaloosa County, this is Walton County here. So we're in Walton County off to the northwest of Defuniak Springs. Outbound here, inbound here, a little pocket of rotation right along the leading edge of this front. A little bit of a notch. Sometimes that's all we get to indicate a brief spin-up tornado, which can occur with no tornado warning in effect, all right? So don't think there's no tornado warning, I'm safe from tornadoes. These tornadoes can occur with little or no warning. You see that a lot, but we're giving you some warning here that there's some potential with this cell here in Walton County, north and northwest of Defuniak Springs. Let's carry that up into Geneva County. Still watching this area. There's Sampson. We're south of Sampson. Sampson now, northwesterly winds. You are done with that severe threat, even though it is raining in Sampson. That leading edge tornado threat is right here off to the southeast of Sampson. There you see Lytle on the map, Royals, Crossroads in the Panhandle. This little notch right here, it's not much, but sometimes, again, that's all we get to indicate potential spin up right there. So we're watching that in Geneva County. What do you got, Ryan? Go ahead.
Yeah, I've got a storm report from our engineer, Austin. He's been keeping a look at that as well. He's saying the area of Flat Creek Community Center in Sampson on Highway 153, they're reporting multiple structures along Alfred Road and 153 have damage, trees and power lines down, and the community center has roof damage.
It does. 153. Yes. Okay. Go switch over to Max. I need Max 2 up here if you can. Yeah, thank you very much. All right, let me. It's so small. So there's 153. Right. You see it right there? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to just back up a little bit. And you see, this is that same notch now that we were watching when it was back in Covington County. It doesn't look like, I know it doesn't look like much, but if I'm a warning meteorologist right now at the National Weather Service, I'm probably issuing a tornado warning on that. And honestly, I'd probably have a tornado warning out with this spin here, especially with the confirmation of that damage. And it's not like it's a big tornado, but there almost needs to be a warning between a tornado warning and a severe thunderstorm warning, where it's a potential tornado warning. I don't know what we call it, but there's potential right here, inbound, outbound. There's still that little circulation showing up.
Yeah, and Austin said the area was just south of County Road 10. So if we look towards that, and we can rewind to see.
You do that on Max 1, please.
Yeah, absolutely.
Find that, and then I'm going to punch over to you. But that hint of rotation is still there, and I'll say it again. I mean, we don't sometimes get the classic tornado signature on radar, the classic debris signature on radar in a situation like this. I've seen this so many times. I'm telling you, a fast-moving line of storms, you get little notches, and every little notch, because your radar beam is above the main circulation, you don't get the classic inbound, outbound, gate-to-gate shear that you get when you have a typical potential strong tornado. You get these little notches, and we're seeing that here in Walton County, and we're seeing it here in Geneva County. So Lytle, Geneva, okay, Geneva, you're watching us from Geneva. I see you out there in Geneva. Get someplace safe, away from exterior walls and windows, just in case. Let me back this up, come on, grab it. Just in case this is a brief spin-up tornado again that moves towards Geneva, all right? Please take it seriously. Let me go back up to the north here in Dale County. This is using the radar near Echo, and I'm going to pinpoint, I'm going to go over to straight up base velocity, because there are some winds here, and now we're so close to the radar site. That's a pretty legitimate wind speed, 66, 68. So Echo is right there. You see Old Snow Hill Road, County Road 33, County Road 334, and then Mabson. So right over Mabson, these winds are likely in excess of 60 miles per hour. That's probably doing damage. Straight line winds doing damage in Mabson. This is in Dale County, so there's a lot happening right now. Watching here in Dale County, the possibility for some damaging straight line winds with this cell, this little pocket right there of blue. Those are the winds in excess of 60 miles per hour. Confidence is high in these being severe winds because we're so close to the radar site. That radar beam is coming out. By the time it reaches these winds, it's low in the sky. Pretty good chance that these winds are in excess of 50 miles per hour. There's a look at Mabson. I'm going to zoom in here.
David, there's also a tornado warning, including Defuniak Springs.
All right, so let's go back. So, okay, back down there. That was that rotation area. I said if I was a forecaster a while ago, I'd issue a warning. They did. I'm going to finish this. I'm going to go back down there to what is happening. Back over to the reflectivity here. These are legitimate winds moving into Dale County. So I'm here in the back. So let's go quick as a cut-in on WTVY, and we're going to continue with our coverage on WRGX and on our streaming platforms. Hey everyone, I'm Chief Meteorologist David Paul, cutting into our NFL game here on CBS WTVY. We have a tornado warning in effect now for parts of the Panhandle. We have live streaming coverage. We're going back to the football game on WTVY, live streaming coverage of this tornado warning and other severe thunderstorm warnings on WTVY.com, on the News 4 app, on our Facebook page, and on WRGX NBC. An ongoing tornado warning here in the Panhandle. Pockets of rotation showing up with this line moving on through the Wiregrass. So for live coverage, ongoing, WRGX and on WTVY.com, the News 4 app, and on Facebook. Back to football on CBS. More cut-ins as needed on WTVY. All right, ongoing coverage here as we track this tornado warning. So, as I mentioned, that's all it is. It looks no different now than it did 10 minutes ago when there was no warning in effect, which is why we're giving you this heads up for all of these areas of rotation, not just this tornado warning. Now, big tornado warning polygon, is it going to go everywhere in that polygon? No. It will move somewhere within that polygon. It's moving more or less to the east. And there's a look at a little bit of a tighter circulation showing up here on Doppler radar. There's a look at the appendage. There's the hook on the leading edge of that line of storms. So this is that potential tornado approaching areas north of Defuniak Springs. I'm also watching what is happening to the north here into Geneva County, and then farther northward up into parts of Dale County and Barber County. A very active, dynamic atmosphere is unfolding this afternoon, right on cue as we get this powerful cold front to come on into the Wiregrass. This is the cold front. This is the leading edge of that cold air, and we're getting these little brief spin-up tornadoes on the leading edge. There's a hook echo on the leading edge. Pretty easy to see. Looks like a fishing hook, if you will, right there. And within that area of hook, you've got the circulation. The circulation area is relatively small. It's right along 331. This could very well be doing damage. Let me go over to my debris tracker and just back this up just a little bit. And I see that. Let's see if that corresponds with our storm relative velocity. Yeah, see, it does, yes. Without having the actual radar image available for that timestamp that we had for the debris tracker, it does match, all right? So this is potentially an ongoing tornado crossing 331, moving towards Piney Grove. We are in Walton County, the northern part of Walton County here, north of Defuniak Springs. This area of rotation has a potential tornado with it. There's maybe a little hint right there of debris, and that matches, let's see, the hook, and it matches the rotation on velocity. So everything as we analyze, that looks to be a debris signature. It's kind of weak. It's not a classic donut hole, but that does align. So there's a decent chance that this is a Doppler radar confirmed tornado. I want to see that debris signature be a little more robust, but sometimes we don't get that in a situation like this. Piney Grove, you are in the path of this cell. There's that hook echo showing up on traditional Doppler radar. Ryan, make sure you're monitoring everything else, and let me know if you see anything else, areas farther northward. There's a look at the base velocity. These are winds towards the radar site in Eglin, Red Bay. These are winds away from the radar site. What's even better in a situation like this is storm relative velocity. It really kind of hones in on that circulation, which when this updated a couple minutes ago was crossing 331, approaching Piney Grove. This is going to jump and be somewhere over here. That's I-10 in the Panhandle. If you know anyone traveling along I-10, make sure they are aware of today's weather situation. This is north of I-10, and it will stay north of I-10, this particular pocket of rotation. That spin-up has been around for a while, and I'm watching this too in Geneva, because this could be another one that spins up very, very quickly here as it approaches Geneva. I'm going to go back here just a couple scans, go a little bit bigger. Now, we've got damage confirmed when this was in the western part of Geneva County by 153. But you see that, again, look for S, all right, the letter S. S right there, a little bit of an S shape. there's just a little indication. We're pretty far away from the radar site, so the radar beam is a few thousand feet up into the sky. And in a situation like this, with the leading edge being the most favorable spot for rotation, it happens pretty low to the ground. So this could be coming on through, and there's an indication right here of a hook. So it looks like this is coming on through Geneva right now. Heavy rainfall in Geneva. There's a little bit of a hook. There could be some damage occurring in Geneva County from another possible spin up. Even though there's no tornado warning, I would treat this as a tornado warning if I'm in the Geneva area or points eastward, because we see some spin on Doppler radar. We see the embedded rotation in the leading edge of this line. I would treat it as a tornado and be someplace safe, away from exterior walls and windows, Geneva and points eastward through Geneva County. Watching one area spin here north of Definiak Springs, watching another area of rotation and spin here moving through Geneva. This is a little bit old. Let me go back over to the reflectivity. There's the center of that hook on the northeast side of Geneva. Be somewhere safe, all right? Just to cover all your bases, don't take a chance in a situation like this. Northward through Dale County, there's a lot to watch. We're watching the storm come on through Dale County, approaching the radar site right now. So there could be a little attenuation very quickly here as that heavy rainfall moves over the radar site. Attenuation is basically the raindrops absorbing the electromagnetic energy coming out from the radar, and it appears to dim the radar. It looks like, oh, the storms are weakening. They're not weakening, just some of that energy is being absorbed by that really, really heavy rainfall right around the radar site. So don't be alarmed here in the next couple minutes as we see some attenuation or fading of the radar returns. It does not mean the storms are weakening, all right? Southward here, an ongoing tornado warning. We're in the Panhandle here in Walton County, north of Definiak Springs, watching this cell. And even though there is no tornado warning in Geneva County, I would treat this as a tornado warning. It looks like it has potential. Let me go back over to the storm relative velocity. I'm watching this area here. I want this to update because that gives me a good view. But I'm watching this area right in through here. This is using now the Fort Rucker radar. These are inbound winds. These are outbound winds in red. There's enough here where if I'm issuing tornado warnings at the Weather Service, I'm issuing a tornado warning for Geneva County. There's enough here in the radar imagery, and it has been like this for a while, to say there's definitely a potential for a tornado to form here in Geneva County. We know the atmosphere today is favorable for spin on the leading edge of the main line. Guess what? This is the leading edge of the main line. This is a notch, and that's some spin happening in the atmosphere. You notice here, as we look at the Fort Rucker radar, looks a little bit weaker. It's not weaker. It's weaker because some of the energy is being absorbed by the radar view. So we had a lot of red here, and now it's going to yellow. Red, 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 yellow. It's not weakening. It's just attenuation. And if we go up to here, now you can kind of see all those reds showing up here because we're using a different radar farther southward. Tornado warning in effect for Walton County. Spin here north of Definiak Springs, and we're watching what could be, maybe will be, a tornado warning in Geneva County. Let me go over here to storm relative velocity. Pinpoint this area north of Definiak Springs, came on through just south of Piney Grove, and it's moving basically due east here in Walton County. This is that potential tornado, storm relative velocity, looks like this on radar. It looks like a little bit of a hook on the leading edge, a little bit of a notch. I mean, this is like textbook what you look for in a situation like this. It's a quasi-linear convective system. And within that leading edge, we've got these little spins. And it's basically caused by the very strong winds coming in from the south ahead of this cold front, and then the winds coming in from the northwest. Just a lot of atmospheric motion in place. And when you start lifting up the air, you start tapping into that low-level jet, and it just enhances the spin, which is why you can have these localized areas of spin that do damage. And that's occurring now in Walton County, about to move into the western part of Holmes County, north of Definiak Springs. This is the notch that we're watching with that potential tornado. Over to the debris tracker. I'm not seeing any hint of it right now. There could have been right there briefly some debris showing up there on the debris tracker. So we can't confirm this is a tornado right now, but there's certainly some rotation within that cell. As I go up here into Geneva and use the debris tracker, seeing that little area come on through Geneva. Let me go back over to the storm relative velocity. Again, I would be issuing a tornado warning for this cell because there's potential for a tornado to form. And even if it's not happening right now, there's some chance of it happening. And we've had damage in Geneva County. Ryan, update us on that damage that we've seen so far in Geneva County.
Yeah, I gotta look. I'll be looking at that real quick. One message that I did get from Ken, our news director, he was saying that there are confirmed trees down on Highway 84 just west of Dothan. So that's probably associated with winds. But
probably level plains. Probably level plains area.
Daleville? Yeah, I think so. He said towards Holland. So that's around that area. But I will be looking for seeing if I can get more storm reports from Geneva County, seeing if we can get that in.
Recap what Sammy said.
Yeah, let's see. Where are you seeing what Sammy said?
You told us what Sammy said, the damage on 153.
Oh, right, yeah. Austin actually came through. Austin had actually come through and said that there were multiple trees down and power lines and roof damage to a community center there. I looked through where we saw more of that, those winds. Let me see if I can find it again. And this was a while back. If you're just tuning in, this was just south of County Road 10, right about here. And I was taking those winds, most likely damaging wind gusts, just south of County Road 10 here, where we probably just had straight line wind gusts coming through. But that was really before I saw really a good notch with rotation. Seemed to be really caused by more straight line wind gusts when I was looking at that.
We really should have a tornado watch out. I mean, tornado warning in effect for Geneva County.
At this point, yes, I would agree, because looking at how this is behaving, let me zoom back out here. I mean, that is really good rotation as of right there. So I would definitely have that warned along with that storm into Funiac Springs.
Yeah, watching these two areas of rotation. If you're just tuning in, we've got a pocket of rotation here in Geneva County, moving off to the east. This is on the verge of producing a funnel cloud, maybe a tornado. Then we're watching this area of rotation north of Funiac Springs. This one moving basically east, maybe just a little north of due east. And this one here in the Panhandle is moving eastward. That one has prompted a tornado warning. We had a debris signature briefly with this earlier, and there is still significant rotation with this cell north of Funiac Springs. It's in a rural area here of Walton County, about to move into Holmes County. So watching this area of rotation, which looks very similar to this area up here, and the fact that this area in Geneva County is a little bit farther away from the radar view makes it a little more difficult to determine if, in fact, that rotation is reaching down to the ground, which is why it's sometimes better, I think, to issue a warning because there's a decent chance of it happening that we can't see on Doppler radar because it's too low in the sky. Storm relative velocity using Fort Rucker here. We're looking at the area between Hartford and Black in Geneva County, and there's a hook echo that's been showing up here on Doppler radar. Again, there's been what looks like some weakening. If I go back here, red, 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 and now it's yellow. It's not weakening. It's because of the attenuation. The fact that that heavy rain around the radar site is absorbing the energy. I mentioned earlier that we're going to have these blanket severe thunderstorm warnings from Tallahassee, and there they are, so we can just paint them in all the way through the area. It doesn't mean that all of us will see damaging winds or severe thunderstorm winds or tornadoes in this area of yellow where these warnings are in effect, but it means that there's the potential within this line for more severe weather. So stick with us. We will keep dissecting the radar and pinpointing exactly where these strongest pockets of winds are. Now, again, we're losing some of the intensity because the radar is just in the middle of this intense rain at this hour. I'm going to go back over to the storm relative velocity. This is the leading edge here, basically where it goes from green to red. That's the leading edge of the cold front. If you are in this area of green northward and westward, that threat for severe weather is over. And in this case, it's red and not green. But this is the front here. It's come on through Echo. It's approaching Headland. It cuts on through Dale County and then into the western part here of Houston County, and then down there into Geneva County. So Geneva, you are now clear from any severe threat. Coffee Springs, Sampson, you're all good when it comes to severe. And then southward into the Panhandle, this is the cold front. The leading edge, the very leading edge has prompted this spin up and this tornado warning, which is ongoing here in the Panhandle north of Defuniak Springs, passing north of Argyle, a rural area here of Walton County, moving into Holmes County. A tornado warning with that cell, and there could very well be, with this cell here east of Geneva, another tornado warning that is issued. That circulation, we've got a little difference in positioning here. I know it makes it hard as a viewer because this radar shows it here, this radar shows it over there. This is the more current image. For some reason, there's a little bit of a lag showing up with that data coming in from the Fort Eglin Air Force Base radar in the Panhandle. So this is the more current radar view. It's showing that area of rotation south of Hartford here in Geneva County. Very strong winds. This is storm relative velocity. Let me go over to base velocity. A hint of outbound here. There's black, there's Hartford. These are inbound winds, these are outbound winds. So there's the pocket of rotation there between Hartford and Esto as it moves off to the east. And this pocket of rotation looks pretty strong. That's going to cross over 167. Van Landingham Mill is right here. It's off to the east of there, about to cross over 167. Inbound, outbound, base velocity winds here. So just to look at the pure wind motion in the atmosphere, there is rotation in the atmosphere, and there could be enough rotation with this area here to produce a brief spin-up tornado. I would treat this personally as a tornado warning potential in parts of Geneva County because it may spin up in the matter of minutes. It could be spinning up right now. You will see some more red showing up here as the rain intensity around the radar site in Eglin kind of comes down. More of that energy from the radar gets out, and you'll see these colors intensify back to red. I'm watching this area just south of Hartford. There's not much of a notch, but there's a little bit of a notch there, and it does match what we're seeing here on storm relative velocity, that broad area of rotation that extends down to areas just north of Black.
And yeah, David, if I could chime in, this is another report, reportedly from Austin again, near South Academy Street in Geneva, really within the city. Or town, building reportedly toppled over on a vehicle, possibly 2 people inside. And checking out where that storm relative velocity had been, it was right over that area. If we zoom back, really there, where that notch was passing through.
That's the same notch that was back in Falco, Florala. That's the same area.
Same exact one, right? It held on to that strength and rotation. And even after it passed Geneva, it was even showing still that S-shaped strengthening in those winds as well. So we'll continue watching out for those storm reports as they come in. So like David was saying, even though this hasn't really been warned, there could easily be a tornado on the ground. So I'd keep following that advice as we continue to track this notch.
Thanks for the update there. Okay, back to that tornado warning in the Panhandle in Walton County. That notch there, that area of rotation has weakened a little bit. So there it was. And there it is now. It's still evident, though, okay? There's still some rotation. It might not be producing damage from a tornado right now, but there's still some hint of rotation with that cell, the leading edge of that cell moving on through Walton County, and there's a little bit of an appendage, a little bit of a hook still showing up with this cell here in the northern part of Walton County and then into Holmes County here
and
also.
And that Geneva circulation just got warned.
So there we go. So, a little late on it, but hey, it's out. We've been watching this area of rotation for quite a while, so a new tornado warning. Let's go ahead and cut back into the WTVY programming here. Are they at halftime? Where are they? Oh, they haven't started the game yet. Okay. Hey everyone, Chief Meteorologist David Paul here as we track showers and thunderstorms moving on through the Wiregrass. We have another tornado warning in effect, kind of waiting for this one to come out, and it was in fact issued for Geneva County. We've been watching this area of rotation when it was back in Covington County, move all the way through Geneva County, through Geneva, and now it's moving on into the eastern part of Geneva County with rotation and the potential for a tornado. This is a developing situation. It's been on the radar for a while. We're doing live streaming coverage on WRGX, on WTVY.com, the News 4 app, and on our Facebook page. And we're going to carry this for a little bit here on WTVY as well as we track this tornado warning in effect for the southern part here of Geneva County. Another tornado warning ongoing southward into Walton County, watching this area of rotation. This one looks a little bit weaker than it did earlier when it came on through areas northwest of Definiak Springs, but still some hint of rotation with this cell. This is a situation today where we've got a cold front coming in, a powerful cold front, and we get these little notches to form at times on the leading edge of that line of heavy rainfall, the line that is the cold front. This notch here has a potential tornado with it, and then as we go northward here into Geneva County, I've been watching this notch here, which looks a little more pronounced, showing up here north of Esto and south there of Hartford. This area right along 167, crossing 167. The radar doesn't look as intense. We've lost some of the reds because we've got some attenuation, or the radar beam is being eaten up, if you will, by some heavy rainfall around the radar site. But this hook showing up here in Geneva County is that potential tornado that we've been tracking for a long time. Yeah, there's a tornado warning in effect now, but this rotation is nothing new. This has been around for quite a while. We're looking at the storm relative velocity here. There's Slocum, there's 52, and there's County Road 4, there's 167. It's east of 167. These greens are inbound up towards the radar site. The reds here are outbound away from the radar site. Storm relative velocity, so this accounts for the forward motion of the storm at the same time. Really kind of gets us down to the nuts and bolts of where the rotation is occurring in the atmosphere. And it is occurring off to the southeast of Hartford, off to the southwest of Slocum, off to the west of Fayette. This circulation will pass somewhere between Slocum and Fayette on 103 in the next 10 minutes or so. If you are in this area of the tornado warning, especially the area south of Slocum, off to the north of Esto, and then west and northwest of Fayette, you want to be someplace safe as the storm passes. We've got, is that the tornado warning sirens going off in Dothan?
I believe I did hear something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I did hear that.
So the reason for that is if any part of Houston County is under a tornado warning, you're going to have the sirens sounding across the entire county of Houston County. So we've got the sirens going off in Dothan. The actual tornado warning is for the cell that is right here in Geneva County. So if you're hearing the sirens, you're flipping on the television, you want to know what's happening. Well, what's happening is we've got a very powerful cold front coming on through the Wiregrass right now, cutting from areas in Henry County through Dothan, southward into Geneva County, and then into the Panhandle. The leading edge of this line, as we've been mentioning for days, will likely feature pockets of rotation, damaging straight-line winds, and isolated tornadoes. The isolated tornado threat is unfolding right now over Geneva County, so you want to be someplace safe in Geneva County, and this storm, this cell, may move into this pocket of rotation into Houston County. The line of storms, certainly 100% chance of rain as it comes on through. What we're watching for are pockets of rotation on the leading edge. That's our flowers cam in the city of Dothan as that line comes on through. The severe threat is ending areas north and west, but along the leading edge, we get these notches to form on occasion. These are the notches that are capable of producing tornadoes. So we're looking at the area south of Slocum, off to the north there of Esto for potential tornado formation. Looking northward here, that line coming on through Henry County. I'm not seeing any pockets of rotation. Still watching this one pocket of rotation. New scan coming in here in Walton County, this ongoing tornado warning. This does look weaker. It's still evident north of Ponce de Leon in the Panhandle. And then watching this area here in Geneva County. I know it's always kind of scary when you hear the sirens sounding, like you're hearing right now. I can hear them outside the building in downtown Dothan. It's for this potential tornado in Geneva County, south of Slocum, that has that tornado warning area that carries into Houston County, including Rehoboth, including the very south side of Dothan, southward to Cottonwood and towards Ashford. It doesn't mean that all these areas are going to see a tornado if you're in that polygon. It means that there's, within that polygon, some rotation that may be producing a tornado. Let's go over to the debris tracker here as we zoom in on this area of Geneva County, south of Slocum, off to the west of Fayette, north of Esto. We're not seeing any indication here of any debris. So we're going to kind of piece all of this together. Do we have a hook echo on Doppler radar? Absolutely. You see that? That's a check. Off to the south of Slocum, this area right here, that's the center of the hook. So let me put my hand right here, and they'll switch over to the storm relative velocity. Is there rotation in that area? Yes. Inbound, outbound, rotation in that area west of Fayette. Do we have any debris signature showing up? Not yet. Now, this product lags the actual tornado. A tornado forms, kicks up debris in the atmosphere. We see the rotation. A couple scans later, if there's a tornado and debris in the sky, we see a hole on the debris tracker. So we keep watching this to see if we have confirmation of a tornado here in Geneva County. There's potential, certainly. Go ahead and blow that camera off the screen, Jonathan. There's Slocum here. There's the area of Notch that we're showing you here on Doppler radar, where we've got inbound and outbound winds here. We've got that circulation. There's Fayette. There's 103. So this area is going to experience that pocket of rotation come on through. This radar is not instantaneous. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was.
Okay.
I think they're trying to get a few cameras back up for us, which would be great to get a view of Definiak Springs. So that is what they're doing. And as of right now, I might be watching possibly a little notch towards Kinsey. I'll keep looking at that too as you continue tracking that hook echo.
Yeah. So this has a very distinct hook to it. It's got a very distinct area of rotation to it. It's right here. It's outbound. It's inbound. We are south of Slocum and off to the west of Fayette. If you know Wiregrass, geography, this is kind of a little bit of a tornado alley that extends from Geneva all the way up into the Dothan area and then into Henry County. So there's the line coming on through Dothan at this hour, right on through the city, and then up here towards Kinsey, there's another pocket of rotation showing up there. This is now off to the east of 431. Outbound, inbound, storm relative velocity. This is, again, a hook or a notch on the leading edge of this line. That could very well be a developing tornado, as Ryan pointed out there, approaching Pleasant Plains here, right along the border of Henry and Houston counties. So please treat these as tornado warnings. This could very well be the next tornado warning that is issued that encompasses parts of southern Henry and northern Houston counties. Please be weather aware in that part of Houston and Henry counties. I'm going to keep this big view so we can watch both of these notches as they move off to the east. There's a little notch here showing up also, and we may very well see multiple notches and multiple tornadoes, brief spin-up kinds of tornadoes. This situation is not favorable for long-track, powerful EF3-4 tornadoes. No. It's brief spin-ups that can be a couple hundred feet wide, that can be on the ground for a couple miles, and do very localized damage. It looks to be occurring right now.
And yeah, actually, that notch just north of Kinsey looks to be a little bit more promising. We're seeing a little bit more rotation.
Yep. Again, if I'm issuing a tornado warning today, or if I'm at the Weather Service office desk issuing warnings, I'm putting one out for this area here, right along the border of Henry and Houston counties, a developing tornado, your first alert, second alert on that cell right there. And then watching this area here in Geneva County, very strong inbound winds. We've got a very strong south wind along the leading edge of that cold front, and then it switches to a northwest wind as that cold front comes on through. So circulation is concentrated right here, circulation concentrated right here. I've seen so many of these little notches be producing damage. So treat that as a tornado warning. The northern part of Houston County, the southern part of Henry County, southward into the Panhandle, that area of rotation is still ongoing, off to the northwest of Caryville, northeast of Ponce de Leon. So 3 potential tornadoes at this time, or at least 3 areas that may spin up tornadoes at any given time. One here, as we zoom around, is in Geneva County. This is right along 103, not too far away from Fayette. So Fayette and points northward, be somewhere safe, away from exterior walls and windows. If you are in a trailer or mobile home, the innermost part of that trailer or mobile home, and think about trees, okay? Because trees can fall and do a lot of damage to trailers. Think about that possibility. Watching this very closely here. Not Doppler radar confirmed yet. I don't see any indication. Go ahead.
They just issued a warning on that rotation just heading east of Kinsey towards Pleasant Plains.
Yep, so there it is.
There could be a return on the debris tracker. I'm looking for another I'm looking for another scan.
Yeah, that matches. So let's go back to that. So there's the hook right here. There's the storm relative velocity, a little power hit downtown here. These are outbound, these are inbound. and there's the debris. So that is, like we mentioned here, likely a tornado developing off to the east of Kinsey, the northern part here of Houston County, moving towards Pleasant Plains, Granbury Crossroads as well. I know we've got the kickoff to the football games. I hate to cover it up, but we've got a confirmed tornado with damage here occurring in the northern part of Houston County and the southern part of Henry County. Granbury Crossroads, Pleasant Plains, there's Kinsey. This is a debris signature showing up on Doppler radar. It aligns very well with that little notch and that little bit of a hook that we're seeing here on Doppler radar. So this is a Doppler radar confirmed tornado. Keep your eyes on what's happening in Geneva County, Ryan, please. So there's that area of rotation. Moving to the east, it's moving basically due eastward, came on through Kinsey, and now it is starting to produce some damage here. It is off to the north of 52, off to the northeast of Dothan, north of Webb, approaching Pleasant Plains, north of Pierce, north of 52, moving eastward. A Doppler radar confirmed tornado with this cell here as it moves into the northern part and through the northern part of Houston County. Near the border with Henry County, a very strong area of rotation, and that is debris. So what is happening in the atmosphere is you've got this notch, which is even more pronounced now. You've got this this rotation area dipping down to the ground and lofting debris up into the atmosphere. A Doppler radar confirmed tornado. Let's zoom in here and go back over to the storm relative velocity. So there's County Road 22. Let's see, that's Willie Raley Road and then Gilly Mill Road. Moving towards Everett Way, East County Road 22, Randall Wade Road, and Truman Road. If you know any of these areas here in northern Houston County, you are in the path of this, this tornado. Doppler radar confirmed tornado. Pleasant Plains here, the far northern part of Houston County. Pleasant Plains likely to see this move on through. We don't have instantaneous radar data. It comes in every couple minutes. So it's going to jump, and it's going to jump and be somewhere near Pleasant Plains or near Sigma in this general area, the far northern part of Houston County. Please get somewhere safe, away from exterior walls and windows. This is a lower end tornado, but still you're looking at winds over 70 to 80 miles per hour. Watching that line down here into Geneva County. This is another area near Fayette of a potential tornado. Very strong inbound winds. And then we got the cold front coming on through right here. So we've got this area of rotation around Fayette. Do we have any debris signature there? We don't. Not yet, but we do here. It looks a little bit weaker, but still a debris signature here showing up in the northern part of Houston County with this cell near Pleasant Plains as it moves on through the northern part here of Houston County. So two areas with tornado warnings. This one has produced damage in the northern part of Houston County off to the north of Webb, very near Pleasant Plains at this hour. This is the cold front coming on through Dothan, so Dothan is in the clear from any severe weather. Gusty winds, heavy rainfall. There's a look at the radar. Heavy rain moving on through Dothan. But the threat for any tornadoes in the city of Dothan is over. Even though the sirens are going off outdoors, I can hear them. We're looking at the potential tornado off to the northeast of the city of Dothan, right here near Pleasant Plains, and then watching what is happening to the south. There's also a little notch showing up here just south of Dothan. This is along basically 231. Just to the east of the National Peanut Festival Fairgrounds. So this is another area of potential rotation that could spin up into a brief tornado somewhere southeast of the city of Dothan. And then as we carry that southward into Geneva County, there's hint here of very, very strong winds. It is now off to the east of Fayette. Even if we don't have a tornado occurring right here, we've got a pocket of very strong straight line winds moving into the southwestern corner of Houston County, approaching Southern Junction right now. So we have a lot happening in the Wiregrass with multiple severe thunderstorm warnings and tornado warnings.
And also, it looks like they've extended that tornado warning for that rotation that was coming through the Phoenix Springs towards Caryville.
Let's go to Caryville.
Now.
Yep, there it is. So there's Westville, there's Caryville, there's that pocket of rotation. This is about to cross over I-10, so we've got here a different radar view using radar from Eglin in Red Bay. These are inbound, these are outbound. So there's that pocket of rotation passing basically between Caryville and I-10 there in Holmes County. So we've got 3 potential tornadoes occurring at the same time across the Wiregrass. Multiple tornado warnings in effect. And I don't know if you're watching us on WTVY. We've got the football game. I understand that. I'm a huge football fan, but we've got 3 different confirmed pockets of rotation with, at times, confirmation of actual damage from tornadoes showing up in the Wiregrass. One here is in the Panhandle along I-10. One is in Geneva into Houston County. The third area here, the northern part of Houston County into Henry County. Notches along the leading edge of a very powerful cold front. This is all we're going to get today for tornado signatures is this. Outbound, inbound, that is likely an ongoing tornado right along, let's see, Bill Yance Road approaching Sigma. There's North County Road 55, Pleasant Plains. This is a Doppler radar confirmed tornado in the northern part of Houston County. A spin-up, brief spin-up, isolated tornado on the leading edge of this cold front moving eastward. Please take cover in the northern part of Houston County. If you know someone, there's a new scan coming in. If you know someone in this area between, looks like Pleasant Plains and Sigma, have them get someplace safe, away from exterior walls and windows, the lowest level, innermost part of the structure that you are in. A well-built home, maybe that's a bathroom or a closet. A mobile home, I know you don't have much option, right? Find a spot away from trees. If you've got big trees outside, find a spot away from trees and just hunker down. Helmet, shoes on, blankets over you. Maybe it's a workbench that you can hide under. Put as much around you as you can. Just think worst case scenario, if you get hit by one of these isolated tornadoes and you have debris coming at you, you want to have as much sheltering your body and your family as you can possibly find. A mattress, blankets, just football helmets, bike helmets, you name it, whatever you have. Make sure you are ready as this moves on through the area just west or north of Sigma, right along Bill Yance Road here. Some of the other roads in the path here, J.D. Love Road, that's Sigma Pit Road, that's, let's see, Benton Store Road as well. All of you in this area of northern Houston County, please take note, get somewhere safe. Let's follow this cold front line down to the south. We're going to watch that little pocket here in central Houston County, and then we're watching this area that is going to be approaching Madrid also, because there's some rotation potential here. I see this more as a straight line wind threat approaching 231 south of Dothan, Big Creek, Madrid. Both of these locations will see very strong winds come on through, and there could be some rotation that spins down into a tornado somewhere in here. There's a little hint of debris showing up. Does that match a hook? It does. So that area by Southern Junction, that is another area where we have a tornado warning, by the way. We could have an ongoing spin-up tornado. 3 areas to the north here, right here along the border with Henry County and Houston County, and then the area right here, which is now into Houston County, and then the area down here, we lost some data, by Caryville, right there. Let me go back over to storm relative velocity, and Caryville and just southward, again, pocket of rotation. Do we have debris? We don't. So we've got rotation, storm relative, waiting for this to update. Again, the Eglin radar today is just a little laggy. It's not updating as quickly as the Fort Rucker radar farther northward. Okay, zoom back in here to this area. It doesn't look like a prototypical tornado. Sometimes we get very distinct outbound gate versus a very distinct inbound gate, a very strong gate-to-gate shear. This is not that kind of a setup. This is a setup where we've got brief spin-ups that occur on the leading edge of a line of storms. In this case, it's a line of showers and storms with a cold front. And this is what it looks like on radar, just a little bit of a notch showing up on Doppler radar. So heads up to you in Columbia and then into Early County. This is certainly a possibility that this pocket of rotation holds together. What we've seen for a long time today are pockets of rotation that do not give up the fight. They keep going and going and going. For example, this tornado warning by the southern part there of Houston County, we were watching this rotation when it was back here forming in Covington County. It is still going, all right? This area of rotation by Caryville was way back here northwest of Crestview when we were following it. It is still ongoing. It is carrying a long, long ways. And then northward here, this area of rotation along the border with Henry County will likely carry into Early County in southwest Georgia. So ongoing long track areas of rotation, not necessarily long track tornadoes, but long track areas of rotation that can at times spin down and produce isolated tornadoes and produce damage. I'm going to zoom in here to the area between Caryville and Bonifay. This is one area of rotation right along or north of I-10. This will pass likely just to the south of Bonifay. So there's Bonifay and 79, there's I-10. You've got a lot of commerce at the intersection of I-10 and 79 and Bonifay, gas stations, hotels, fast food restaurants. Make sure you are somewhere safe if you are watching us from Bonifay from that storm. As we go northward here, I'm watching what's happening in Madrid. I'm watching what's happening in Big Creek and by Garris Crossroads because we've got very strong rotation showing up here, damaging straight line winds. And then as we go farther to the north here, watching this spin, which is likely an ongoing tornado by Sigma, as we look at this notch here moving over Sigma and this debris signature that is still showing up at this hour. I know we've got Ken Curtis on the phone. Ken, I give you 20 seconds. That's all you got. Go ahead.
Hey, I've got reports there is damage in downtown Geneva. I'm told the damage is significant. I think they're still trying to sort it out right now as well. And you talked about the Big Creek area. I just came up from there, and it is definitely rough down here. But again, damage in Geneva. We'll have a crew on the way shortly, David.
All right, thank you, Ken. So now this is something that we've seen for a long time is that rotation area that it wasn't warned at that time, but these little spins are producing damage without officially having tornado warnings in effect. Go ahead, Ryan.
And sorry to cut in. It looks like there is another tornado warning in effect for areas of Blakely into Early County due to some rotation being picked up. It has weakened in the next scan, but that is the newest warning.
Okay, I'm a lot to be concerned about right now. All right, a lot to be concerned about. I'm concerned about this cell that is approaching Columbia, between Sigma and Columbia. If you are in Columbia along or north of 52, you've got a little higher population base over here. Just be somewhere safe, all right? Because this notch, this inbound and outbound, this is an ongoing tornado, more than likely. Let me go back over to the debris signature. You see that debris? It matches up. It matches up with this hook that we're seeing right here. It matches up with that velocity scan, and it matches up with debris. And that's how we can say that is a Doppler radar confirmed tornado ongoing in Houston County, approaching Columbia. Please, if you are in the Columbia area, get somewhere safe, away from exterior walls and windows. This notch is an ongoing tornado moving more or less eastward and starting to intensify a little bit. So this may spin up into an even stronger tornado as it approaches Columbia northward here. I'm trying to see where that little spin up was. It was right there, and it was not much. If I go back here, that's what prompted that warning. Right here, very brief spin up, and then it's gone, just like that. But this spin up here is ongoing, and in this area here in the southern part of Houston County, also ongoing, inbound, outbound, near Madrid, right along 231, and then also watching what is happening down here by Bonifay, because this area of rotation has been pretty powerful as well. It's right here, probably somewhere on the south side of Bonifay at this point. A few areas of rotation, a few tornado warnings in effect, and Doppler radar confirmed tornadoes. These aren't just, hey, there's some rotation, this might spin up. These are actual areas that are spinning up right now, and more are possible. And this situation, I'll tell you again, it's so dynamic. And these can form and dissipate within minutes. And they don't show up very well on radar. They show up as little tiny spins or little tiny notches. So treat this entire line as it moves in like it could produce a brief spin-up tornado with winds in excess of 70 miles per hour. That means you in Early County approaching Blakely right now, that line is coming towards you. A little notch here, treat that as a potential spin-up tornado just northwest of Blakely in Early County. This area approaching Columbia, treat this, because it is an ongoing tornado in the northeastern part of Houston County moving towards Columbia. Treat this area right here as a potential developing tornado in the central part of Houston County. We've got that notch showing up. This area here, not too far away from Cottonwood, this could very well be another area of damage from a tornado. This is the same storm that Ken mentioned that brought damage to Geneva when there was no tornado warning in effect. This is the same one that we've been watching since it was over Covington County. It's been on on the radar and spinning and at times dropping down a tornado for a long time. Please treat that as an ongoing tornado. And then southward here into the Panhandle around Bonifay, as that line comes in, there's potential there as well. Looks to be right along I-10 as we look at the storm relative velocity right there. That is a potential tornado showing up here on Doppler radar approaching Bonifay. This is a little late, a little laggy, again, for the actual imagery. It might be somewhere on the south side of Bonifay right now. So if you are in these tornado warnings that are coming out, especially in this one along and north of I-10 in the Panhandle, seek shelter. Northward back up here into Houston County, this is a little concerning for me as we look at Dupree. This is outbound, this is outbound, this is outbound, this is inbound. This is a potential tornado. This is around, let's see, South County Road 55 and South Rocky Creek Road by Dupree. You see a little bit of a pink blob showing up there. That is intensification of the cell. And if you're watching us on WTVY, I understand that we've got football on and we want to watch it, but this is a life or death situation, and you can complain all you want, but this is what we're doing right now. Columbia, here looking at this cell approaching you, crossing over 52. These are outbound winds. These are inbound winds. This is a Doppler radar confirmed tornado occurring by Columbia. We've seen this debris signature showing up as it moves off to the east. So treat this as an ongoing tornado, please. Now crossing the river just south of Columbia, right along just south of 52, I suppose, moving into Georgia. So there's Columbia. There's the center of rotation here. That is Lower River Road. This is 52 here. Where's 52? Right here, going into Georgia. Old Columbia Road also. These are the areas that are seeing the impacts from this tornado as it moves off to the east. So Milton, is that Hilton? I can't see. It's Hilton. One of the small communities there in Early County. So Hilton, you are on the path of that potential tornado, which has been producing damage at times. This area also has a potential for damage. Dupree over towards Pansy here in the central part of Houston County. Let's go over to the debris signature. There may be a little hint. Hard to say for sure on that. Can't confirm that, but certainly some hint of it. And then this area here south of Cottonwood, storm relative velocity also has the signature of a tornado where you've got this inbound and outbound. And do we have any debris showing up with that? We don't, thankfully. But that's another notch. Ryan, we've seen multiple notches, and they're ongoing right now. Yeah.
The biggest thing, too, if y'all want to switch back over to Max 1 briefly, too, the biggest one, the notch that really caught my attention is looking back at Blakely's. Now, it's definitely weak as it's heading north of Blakely. You can kind of see where that was. But if I go back to really when that warning was issued, you can switch back to debris tracker, and it looked like there was confirmed debris right there, went away within the next scan, but that is why that they warned that storm. So I'm continuing to watch that rotation to see if it can strengthen back up as it's making its way north of Blakely, and also still trying to go farther south, just east of Bonifay, as we're watching out for how that rotation is going.
Yeah, so I mean, these are forming, again, with no warning sometimes. So if you see these notches, again, treat this entire line as the potential of a tornado, because it is spinning up in spots here. South of Bonifay, right along I-10, this notch is potentially producing a tornado. You get up here into Houston County, this notch here, south of Cottonwood, that is a potential tornado moving to the east, passing south of Cottonwood, and then up here into Georgia, now to the east of Columbia, towards Hilton. Again, another notch, another potential tornado. All of these areas are rotating, and that's enough on Doppler radar to indicate that that is probably an ongoing tornado producing damage somewhere between Columbia and Hilton right now along 52. Please get someplace safe if you are in the path of any of these cells. Northward here to the area north of Blakely. Again, another notch showing up just north of Blakely. That's another area of rotation that has a history of producing a tornado, and there's still some hint here of a weak rotation as far as, well, let's see, that looks, so as far as debris, is that the same? That's the same. Is that the same area? That's really concerning if that's indeed the case.
No, I think that might be new. Actually, looking at that return.
Okay, so that looks like a debris plume coming up there over the city of Blakely. It does not necessarily match. It matches that little notch. It doesn't match the velocity scan, but maybe it does, because maybe this has strengthened and the next scan shows a tornado over Blakely. I would treat it as a tornado near Blakely and points eastward. Again, treat this entire leading edge as a tornado. When it comes into your area, just think this might spin up, because it is spinning up in multiple spots. We have multiple tornado warnings in effect here. Near Blakely, this is likely another one here, moving into the eastern part of Houston County and the western part of Early County. Another one here by areas south of Cottonwood, and then down here in the Panhandle, south of Bonifay. Let's zoom in. Man, there's so much happening, Ryan.
There's so much happening, right.
Let's zoom into this area here in the southern part of Houston County, because this notch looks, in this situation, looks classic for tornado. We've got the notch. We've got, very strong rotation. What we don't have yet is the debris signature showing up. I would treat that as a tornado south of Cottonwood. So can you do, Jonathan in the back, do me a favor, do me a double box. Put max 2 here and do a second box with max 1, and Ryan's going to show max 1 so we can show 2 storms at the same time. All right?
Yeah, so let's do that.
Ryan's controlling the little box, I'm controlling the big box as we watch what is happening in the Wiregrass. Look at this area rotation popping up here. Strengthening here. This is a tornado, more than likely south of Pansy in Houston County, right along 84, just south of 84 here, and this passing over Pansy right now. Okay, I want a secondary box with max 1. And Ryan's controlling max 1. I'm controlling what we call max 2. So second box, picture-in-picture, and so we can show 2 storms at the same time. Pansy, all right? Pansy and areas east, you are likely experiencing tornadic conditions as that storm here along 84 moves eastward towards Gordon. Gordon, take cover. I'm just telling everyone in the path. Area south here in Houston County, there's Cottonwood. This is another notch. This could very well be another tornado at this hour. And then we go southward into the Panhandle. We've got another area here along I-10. But we've got in Houston County, I would say probably a tornado, probably a tornado, probably a tornado, and then potentially a tornado. As far as the debris signature goes, we've got that hole. So, I mean, that... We don't have the signature on Doppler radar for the velocity scan, but we have it in the debris, and that is not surprising that you can have a tornado occur under the beam, and then the tornado is lofting it up above the beam. And that's why we're seeing it on debris, but we're not seeing it so well on the velocity scan. So that has all signs of being a tornado on Doppler radar. These little pockets that are popping up there of debris. I can't confirm that one. But there's a possibility. This one also ongoing. You see some inbound and outbound by Salhatchee here in Early County. That is more than likely a tornado. We're on the leading edge, so we don't have a debris ball showing up on the debris tracker. But if we look at what is happening as far as the reflectivity scan with this hook off to the east of Hilton, and we look at the velocity scan, so reflectivity and velocity, yeah, that's probably a tornado. This one here approaching Gordon, this is likely a tornado as well. We've got the hook showing up here, the notch on reflectivity. As far as velocity goes, bam, we've got that rotation showing up. And then if we look at the debris tracker, it's on the leading edge, so we don't have that debris hole that you typically see, but you put these 2 pieces together, that's probably a tornado or a high possibility of being a tornado approaching Gordon. This area south here of Cottonwood, let's go back to this one. We've got that rotation area right here off to the southeast of Cottonwood. We've got the debris tracker showing nothing, but we've got that significant rotation, and we've got, let's see, the hook here showing up too, kind of a dangly area there off to the south of Cottonwood. Go ahead, Ryan. Do you have anything else?
I have been getting some new storm reports coming in from Geneva and also Slocum. We got an email coming in from a resident there saying Slocum, a porch had collapsed southwest of Slocum. And of course, I'm seeing more Facebook comments from people saying multiple trees down, building damage in downtown Geneva, where we continue to watch that circulation rotation making its way through southern Houston County right now. So that is definitely a storm that's been holding on to that structure for a while. I'm continuing continuing to watch Blakely to see if anything in terms of debris tracker returns make their way in for the next scan. But the storm relative velocity just not putting out too much. And the next storm that I'm continuing to watch is farther south, just towards Chipley now. But I'm not seeing anything in terms of good notches right there, but I am keeping an eye on both of those storms.
Well, let me go back. There's a good notch on that one by Chipley.
There was.
Yeah. Let's go over to, so we got different radars here, and this one is updating a little bit wonky today, but there's the area of rotation. That's Chipley. This is using the Red Bay radar, so there's a pocket of rotation, and there is a notch in the reflectivity that's moving into that area along I-10 south of Chipley, and we're not going to see the debris because we're on the leading edge of it, so that debris hole wouldn't show up because it's not encased in rain. But there's certainly some rotation along that area of I-10, and there's some hooks showing up on Doppler radar. So I would treat that as an ongoing tornado on the south side of Chipley, right along I-10 more or less. And then as we go northward here into Houston County, still watching this area by Gordon. That is likely a very strong pocket of rotation that potentially has a tornado with it as it moves on through Gordon, crossing the river, right along 84. That is very strong outbound. There's an inbound signature. So basically over the city of Gordon, there could be damage occurring right now. You want to be someplace safe. Treat this entire leading edge like it could hurt you, okay? Because it's going to hurt some areas and maybe some people. The entire leading edge of this line of showers and storms, and there's really not a lot of lightning with it. It's really a leading edge of showers. There's a lot of warm and humid air out ahead of this. There's a lot of wind energy up above, and there's cold, dry air coming in from the northwest, and that is leading to a lot of atmospheric motion. That is leading to these little gustnados, little spin-up tornadoes on the leading edge. So we've got confirmed areas by Chipley, south of Cottonwood, near Gordon, up here towards Blakely, and we've got areas in between that might spin up. So treat this entire line like it could be a developing tornado. North and west of the line, we're done. The severe threat is over in Dothan. The tornado sirens are going off outside. I can hear them. We are fine in Dothan. The threat is over, but that threat is very real at this moment for some parts of the Wiregrass, including in parts of Houston County, right around Gordon. If you are in Gordon, you know someone in Gordon or points eastward, make sure they know what is happening. We've been hammering this for days on News 4, on Facebook, on social media, telling you that today's a potential tornado day, and it is unfolding right now over parts of the Wiregrass. The debris tracker isn't going to show us that hole because it's on the very, very leading edge. But if we look at the reflectivity and then we look at the velocity scan, that still indicates likely tornado just north or along 84, crossing from Alabama into Georgia here, moving out of Houston County and into Early County. Howard's Mill, north of Jakin, east of Gordon. Please be somewhere safe as that rotation approaches your area. As we go southward there over the southern part of Houston County, watching this area by Grangeburg, this is another area of rotation. It aligns with this little appendage showing up on Doppler radar. Treat that as a tornado as well. And then southward here into the Panhandle near Chipley along I-10. I understand that we've got some pretty significant rotation with this storm as well. That's someone complaining about the football game? Yes, actually. Okay, so I understand. Listen, I understand you want to watch football. If I'm at home, I want to watch football too. I care more about saving lives that could be impacted by this line of tornadoes. So save the phone calls, save your time. Direct your anger at me or management when you want to after the fact. Right now, we're focused on what is happening in the Wiregrass, and that is a deadly situation potentially shaping up as we track multiple confirmed tornadoes coming on through the Wiregrass, including along parts of 84, moving from Houston County into Early County. And then as we go northward here, we've got multiple notches producing likely tornadoes. This is probably a tornado. That's all we're going to see on Doppler radar as it moves off to the east here. That is Sheffield Mill Road. That is, what is that other road here? I can't even see it from that perspective.
Spoon Recorder Road?
Yeah, so right there.
Oh, yeah,
so that is another area of a spin-up that is occurring. This area off to the east of Gordon, moving into Early County, that likely has a continuing tornado with it. And then up here towards Blakely, this area, we've had debris showing up with this area also at times. Going back here, that little debris signature right here. This is also another area that might be producing a tornado at this point. So we've got multiple areas with rotation, heavy rainfall in Blakely at this hour. Storm relative velocity shows by Bancroft an area of rotation. So we've got 3, maybe 4 ongoing tornadoes at this point moving on through the Wiregrass. And we will continue covering this on all of our platforms, WTVY, WRGX, online, the News 4 app, WTVY.com, Facebook as well, until this threat is over, because this is a significant threat. We've had a lot of damage in the Wiregrass so far today, and that threat continues. And I love football, but I love covering weather and saving lives more than this football game. So as we go southward here through the Panhandle, watching again an area by Chipley, and then really watching what is happening here as this cell moves from Gordon area into Early County, because there's been a lot of rotation with this cell for a long time, and there's been confirmed damage from these cells as they move on through. Another severe thunderstorm warning being issued here, a big one. Again, treat this entire leading edge as a potential tornado, because we've got multiple areas of spin as this line comes on through. Warm and humid air meeting a very strong cold front coming in, a very strong low-level jet, and we've got multiple areas of rotation ongoing. And these spins are, in some cases, relatively small. In some cases, they're relatively large, and this is one area here north of Saffold. We're into Early County here, not too far away from Howard's Mill. This is rotation on the map moving to the east. Killarney there, north of Jakin in Early County. Get to your safe place. The lowest part of the building you're in, the innermost part of that structure. This is another area here that we're watching in Houston County, another by Grangeburg, another potential tornado. We've got inbound and outbound winds. This is likely a tornado ongoing here in the southern part of Houston County. It doesn't look real impressive when you look at the reflectivity scan, but there's circulation in the atmosphere. There's a lot of wind motion in the atmosphere, and these are basically spin-up tornadoes. You've got a swirling column of wind from the ground to the cloud base that is moving very quickly through sometimes buildings or open fields or trees, and it's doing damage. So please treat this as an ongoing tornado. As we go southward into Jackson County, another area there approaching Malone, where there's a little bit of an appendage, a little bit of a hook showing up that shows potential rotation, then watching what is happening farther southward into the Chipley area. As we go northward here, this is another area that is ongoing with rotation. Lucille in Early County, watching what could be an ongoing tornado there. And then off to the east of Blakely, another area with ongoing rotation by Bancroft. Off to the southeast, approaching, let's see, Rowena before too long, north of Damascus, south of Arlington, another area of rotation that has at times produced a tornado, a Doppler radar indicated or confirmed tornado. So this isn't just a situation where we're watching because these might be producing tornadoes. These are producing tornadoes, multiple tornadoes at the same time along the leading edge of this line of showers and thunderstorms. So east of Blakely, this notch, treat it as a tornado. It very well could be. This notch right here, south of Blakely, treat it as an ongoing tornado, because it probably is. Then as we go southward here, areas east of Gordon, watching this area that has produced rotation and some damage the way it looks on Doppler radar. That's another area that could be ongoing. And then watching this area here in the southern part of Houston County, another area with very good rotation signature showing up at times. As it moves off to the east, I'll back this up just a little bit and go forward with it. Then as we go southward here into the Panhandle, watching this activity as it moves between, say, Chipley and Cottondale along I-10 at this hour. Some good news recently here. There's been a little bit of a lowering of the threat level with that rotation in some of these pockets, but there's still some rotation with these cells. This one does look a little bit weaker here in the southern part of Houston County as it moves off to the east of Grangeburg, but there's still some indication of rotation showing up on Doppler radar. We've got the area of green here, and we've got the area of red. So that could be an ongoing lower end EF0 type tornado ongoing over the far southern part of Houston County. So treat that as an ongoing tornado. We've got multiple tornado warnings in effect. This area is still rotating and likely producing damage between Howard's Mill and Saffold. These are outbound, these are inbound. That is a very significant S shape, a very significant notch showing up here on Doppler radar. That is a signature for a tornado in a situation like this. So treat that as an ongoing tornado. Then as we go northward here, we've got multiple notches showing up here in Early County, Lucille, up towards Cuba, and then off to the east there of Blakely. Near Arlington, another area of very significant rotation, inbound, outbound. So there's that pocket of rotation just to the south there of what's that highway there? Is that 62? So just near 62, Mays Ford Road. If you are in that area between Arlington and Bancroft, we've got very strong rotation with this. Recap the damage reports that we've had so far, Ryan.
Yeah, so definitely as we continue to track this rotation, it made its way all the way from Covington County through Geneva, and as it did, we're actually getting multiple reports of extensive damage through downtown Geneva, where there's damage to buildings, multiple trees down. I've even seen emails coming in that people's porches or porches throughout the city are collapsed or have collapsed too. So that is definitely an area that has seen some damage. And we were getting some reports that possibly areas towards Elba had received damage. This was probably an hour and a half earlier as we were watching the first signs of that rotation as well. I'm trying to see if we can get more confirmed reports on that, but I've seen that come in through our news team. And of course, our news director, Ken Curtis, he said that crews with our news team are trying to head out there right now too to probably get more eyes on the situation right now. But yeah, as of right now, I do not doubt that within this line, as I continue to switch between storms that are producing these little S curves that likely mean tornadoes are making their way onto the ground, stirring debris up. We're also still trying to find where we can see debris tracker signatures come back with these notches. But it's just safe to say, as this line continues through, as we have seen already this afternoon, treat every notch that you also see, and honestly just the general line of the storm, just find your safe place as the starting point of this line makes its way through, because it's just important to already be in that safe place even before warning is issued at this point, David.
All right, 3 different areas of notches showing up here. This one concerns me because we got a new debris signature with it here off to the east of Blakely. I'm going to zoom into this cell off to the south of Arlington. This is the area that we're watching here. Let me go over to the reflectivity and then the debris tracker. So right there is debris showing up there. That is a debris ball that indicates that we have debris being lofted from the ground up into the atmosphere. This is a Doppler radar confirmed tornado with this cell off to the south of Arlington. It is moving off to the east. So areas here south of Arlington towards Rowena and then towards Nicholsville. This is in Early County, southwest Georgia. This is a Doppler radar confirmed tornado. We've got the little appendage right here. That's the little hook on the leading edge of this line of showers and thunderstorms. There's a look at the debris tracker. Yep, right on cue. And then look at the reflectivity, I should say the storm relative velocity, and it's right there. So we've got everything lining up here to say that this is a Doppler radar confirmed tornado with this cell off to the south of Arlington with a new debris plume going up. That hole right there, which indicates that this tornado is hitting something. And maybe it's buildings, maybe it's trees, maybe it's people, but debris is being lofted from structures or trees up into the atmosphere. Doppler radar confirmed tornado, a life or death situation here in Early County. Off to the east of Blakely, there's Blakely right here. There's Arlington, south of Arlington, north of Damascus. This cell is moving just a little south of due east. I'm going to back this up a little bit. So there's that debris signature. It's been showing a debris signature at times. It is moving just to the south of due east. So on that track, that puts it towards Milford in Early County. So there's Bancroft, there's Rowena, there's Arlington, there's Bancroft right there. So towards Milford, this is where that tornado track is going, that area of circulation that is ongoing. So if you are in this area, please treat this as an ongoing tornado, because it is Highway 216 in Georgia, Highway 216 between Rowena and Milford. You are in the path of this tornado. This notch right here, that is a Doppler radar confirmed tornado. There's a debris signature. It's on the move, okay? So it's probably somewhere around Rowena right now, moving towards Milford, south of Arlington, passing just to the south of Arlington. Looks like a new scan is coming in. Let me take this radar and go southward. That scan is even more intense with that pocket of rotation and that tornado by Rowena. A spin-up tornado on the leading edge of this cold front coming on through parts of Georgia. That damage is right around Rowena at this point. The storm relative velocity shows a very, very intense pocket of rotation there. Let's see, right along 45, Highway 45 there, south of Arlington, north of Rowena, here in Early County, southwest Georgia. An ongoing tornado with this cell. As we go southward, there is still some activity that is likely producing tornadoes here north of Mayhaw, another area of very intense rotation, and a little bit of an appendage showing up as well. We're on the leading edge, so the debris tracker isn't as effective right now, but when you see that kind of rotation, that is probably an ongoing tornado. This area, too, that we've been watching, now to the south of Jones Crossroads and off to the east and northeast of Killarney. That's another area, a very strong rotation. That's the same pocket that came on through parts of Houston County by Gordon. As it moves eastward, it continues to rotate. So another area of concern. But the most concerning storm that we have at this hour is this cell south of Arlington, north of Damascus, as it moves on through Early County off to the east of Blakely. A Doppler radar confirmed tornado with this cell. That's some of the debris showing up here off to the south and southeast of Arlington. Please get somewhere safe if you are on the path of that storm, watching other notches with the leading edge of this cold front moving on through parts of southwest Georgia. If you want the football game, we're getting there, okay? We're getting close to getting this out of our area and having that threat drop in the Wiregrass. Southward there in Houston County, still watching that area of notch showing up because that could spin up again into another tornado. And then watching this entire line here from Early County into Miller County and then eventually into the northern part of Seminole County because we have Doppler radar confirmed rotation in these areas. Another complaint call?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wanting us to show the game and tornado coverage at the same time.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this is more important.
Yeah, we're taking the cover. We'll get to the football game. Listen, I want to get to the football game as quickly as we can, but WTVY is our flagship station, and one thing that's going to trump anything else is going to be tornado warnings and confirmed tornadoes. Not like this is a maybe situation. This is a Doppler radar confirmed situation. So we're watching this tornado here off to the southeast of Arlington, near Nicholsville in southwest Georgia in Early County. A Doppler radar confirmed tornado with this cell as it moves off to the east. That is a debris signature showing up there by Nicholsville. So this isn't just it might be happening. This is something that's been ongoing for a while, really, as it's come on through Early County. A very strong storm and a very high chance of some significant damage perhaps occurring. Kind of depends on the strength of the debris that you see, but when you see more debris showing up, you know that that tornado has hit something, or maybe it's trees, maybe it's just building. I mean, we don't know, but there's people here, and there's new tornado warning coming out, and this is a very, very strong hook echo showing up here off to the southeast of Arlington in Early County, moving towards Milford. If you are in Early County, Georgia, this rotation area is moving in your direction. There's the notch right there. That's the area of rotation. The Doppler radar confirmed tornado with that cell moving off to the east. As we go southward here, we've got more tornado warnings ongoing from parts of Houston County into the southern part of Early County. I'll go back over to the velocity scan here, and we're looking, I would say, a little bit better in this area as we look at the Doppler radar here. Is very quickly surging to the east, so that threat is almost over in Houston County, looking okay for the moment as far as any rotation in Jackson County, but we do have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect as we watch the potential for another area of a spin to develop. Then as we go northward here, get my bearings back to where we're watching that tornado warning. It's right here east of Blakely. That pocket shows up very well right there. So let me pause this and go back over to the storm relative velocity scan and zoom in to what we're looking at here by Nicholsville, and then back over to that debris confirmation of what's been a very strong area of rotation with tornado-producing winds. At times, this rotation is coming down to the ground, and it's doing damage on the leading edge of this cold front, which is very quickly now moving through parts of Georgia and off to the east of us. So we're going to keep watching that for just another minute, and then it gets pretty much out of our coverage area, more or less. So watching this one area to the south of Mayhaw, and then watching the other area here off to the east of Arlington towards Milford, this one notch here in the Nicholsville area. That's a very strong area of rotation, and we've had this debris signature showing up at times as that has come on through. So it's right there by Nicholsville, maybe weakening a little bit as far as the signature goes, but the Doppler radar shows a very, very distinct hook echo showing up here on Doppler radar as that cell moves to the east. Ryan, this is one of many storms that we've seen today producing damage, and this one is ongoing at this hour.
Yeah, it really was like right on cue with that hook that we've been watching. I'll zoom out here just so we can have a little bit more of a view of what we're watching out for, those notches, and any little hook that you see within that reflectivity, likely seeing that rotation and another storm trying to drop down a tornado. One thing I wanted to touch on is before we do wrap up coverage today, we do have images from downtown Geneva of storm damage. We'll be sure to go through some of those on another screen before we take that coverage down. But the images that I have been seeing with that damage, if there was a tornado confirmed on the ground, these were definitely powerful as they made their way down. So it's best to treat each one of these hooks as something that is on the ground coming your way. So just be prepared as we continue.
Ryan. Yeah, okay, we're going to football now on WTVY, okay? Because this storm is moving out of Early County. So back to football on CBS. Live storm coverage ongoing on WRGX, on WTVY.com, the Facebook page, the News 4 app as well. So we'll see you there. All right. Still watching us on WRGX and watching us streaming online as well. Listen, I'm a huge football fan, sports fan in general. I want to watch NFL. I'd love to be at home right now watching NFL football on CBS, WTVY, but I'm here instead. When we have tornado warnings and confirmed damage, we're going to our flagship station and we're covering it live. So we're ongoing with the coverage here with respect to what's happening with the football on CBS this afternoon. So ongoing showers and storms coming on through the southwestern part here of Georgia, down into southeast Alabama and the Florida Panhandle. No tornado warnings in effect here, areas south, as that rotation area has weakened a little bit, but still watching that one area. Now moving out of Early County, which is out of our coverage area. We've got a sister station up there in Albany that will be taking over that coverage, WALB, if you want to flip over to their live stream and watch what they're doing as they track that cell moving into their area. We do cover Early County, and Early County is ongoing with that threat from these storms moving on through, and we watch Miller County also. So Mayhaw watching this cell move on through. Jackson County, it's rain. I'm not seeing any indication here of any appendages or hooks showing up. That pocket of rotation earlier that we had by Chipley has weakened. That cell finally weakening as it moves off to the east. It was very significant there by Caryville to Boniface, south of Chipley. That pocket of rotation is still showing up right here by Alford, and you can kind of tell there's rotation, but it's kind of outrun the rain. So that's a good thing to see what is happening there in parts of the Panhandle. Northward here, as we go up into the southern part of Early County and then into Miller County, let's see, any rotation, nothing that really stands out. This is still an area of a little spin, though, and this could be, again, another area where we have an ongoing gustnado, a brief spin-up tornado occurring here. This is in Miller County, south of Mayhaw, north of Donaldsonville. So it's this area right here, just to the north of Donaldsonville. There's actually a little notch here and a little notch here, so two little notches. And I would treat both of these as potential tornadoes. If you're in the path of this line of showers and storms, treat these little spins as potential tornadoes. Not a lot of rain with them, but there's just enough right here. That could be a little spin up occurring, the leading edge of that line. And then as we go to the north, still watching that one area moving out of our coverage area. So there's some good news. They should be dropping some of these tornado warnings because there's no longer any threat there as we look into Houston County. Okay, let's do a reset here. Talk about what we're watching. Do we have that video from Geneva? Do we have that coming in? Because I want to.
I was about to say, yeah. I'm gonna prepare it on our other screen, and we can look at those photos coming in.
I'm gonna have Ryan work on that. I'm gonna go northward here and show you this winter storm because there's a cold component with a lot of snow and ice and freezing rain. There's the rain component for our area, the showers and storms with that warm air coming in. On the backside, we've got this colder air moving towards us, and you're feeling it now in some areas. That temperature is dropping in a big way. It is 78 in Marianna ahead of that rain. It's 59 in Dothan behind that rain. So a big drop, a 20-degree, 15-degree drop within basically minutes as that cold front comes on through. Just a tremendous change in the air mass. 55 now in Andalusia and 55 in Troy at this hour. Dew points, of course, coming down warm and humid out ahead of that line. Dew points in the 60s. Behind the boundary, dew points are in the 50s. So that's why that threat for any severe weather is over. For most areas now, there's the leading edge approaching Albany, southward into Jackson County. We've got this ongoing threat for some heavy rainfall, a new tornado warning popping up there. Southward, south of us in the Panhandle, north of Panama City, there's a look at the radar, the big view as we track these showers and storms coming on through. I'm going to toss to Ryan for a look at some of these pictures. Let me just cover this real quick with this new tornado warning in effect popping up here. This is in the northern part of Bay County. And if you have anyone down here that you know, or maybe someone from down here is watching, Crystal Lake to Vicksburg, I'm going to go to the now and look at that. Yeah, look at that. That's a perfect notch showing up here of rotation with this cell. This is south of us here in the Panhandle, and there's probably going to be some debris showing up very quickly with that. I'll go northward here on this product and just kind of scan the leading edge and see what we see. Northeast of Donaldsonville, still watching this pocket right in through here. That's a potential area that could spin up into a tornado. These tornado warnings should be canceled. They're no longer nothing. There's nothing there. But this area between Colquitt and Donaldsonville, I would be somewhere safe if you are in this part of southwest Georgia, because there's some spin potential with those cells. Otherwise, looking pretty good at this point. Ryan, over to you with those damage pictures from downtown Geneva.
Yeah, David, so that rotation that we watched for many, many miles through Covington County made its way through Geneva and on into Houston County, and we saw where that storm relative velocity had come through, and we got reports coming in that there was damage to buildings, many trees down, and power lines down, and now that we have our WTVY News 4 crews there on the scene, they are sending pictures back, and this is just one of the views. When I see this reminds me of the damage that we saw in Cottonwood with the January 9th tornado. So this almost looks more like, just looking at it now, maybe EF2 tornado damage. But
well,
you can see.
I'd caution before you say that.
Right.
Because was that an open building? Did that building have a roof on it before?
Well, actually, that is a good question.
We don't know. Yeah, it could have been a hollow building in the wall collapse.
That's true.
So yeah, I just want to throw that out there.
Right. I only say that because that tornado with Cottonwood was rated EF2. That is the only reason I say that. We have to wait for a storm survey to come out to know if that was a confirmed tornado at all. But I'm going to go ahead and autoplay some of these images so that way you can see them come through, or it actually just switched all the way to the end. But I'll go through manually. So you see damage to windows here along in parts of downtown, tree limbs along the sidewalk, lots of water in the street, trash cans thrown around as well. And
it does look like tornado damage to me.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And with this too, still power lines all down along Bank Plus right here. Looks like law enforcement also on the scene too, helping us get those reports in as well. Still lots of debris on the roads, but even some of these pictures that I saw, take a look at this one where even some, looks like the roof of a shed on one of those power lines right there, multiple limbs down around this tree. Roofing along this fence right here. This kind of roofing can easily be lofted. We honestly, multiple times with the tornado events that we have covered, I have heard many reports of sheds being taken down or almost flying away because there's just enough wind, and the lightness of that shed can just easily be airborne. Going on to our next photo, some of these have been repeating. So we've already checked out some of these. Take a look at this road. It's almost impassable due to all of the limbs that are down. So it's very easy for these strong winds to shake these trees and put the limbs down on the road. So there will likely be some traffic issues as we continue monitoring this situation. I'm gonna see if I can get this out of the way, if I can. I'll go back to the laptop right here, but you'll still be able to hear me as I continue talking about these images. But yeah, this damage is definitely eye-opening as well. I'm trying to get out of full screen here.
So what we saw with SL, that was an area of rotation that we were watching that was in Covington County that came all the way through Geneva County, all the way through Houston County, and then all the way into southwest Georgia as Ryan gets that straightened away. Let me take you back here, because I can go back a few hours with the radar, and we're starting to see the activity calm down in our area, move out of our area, and that means we can breathe easier, okay? People on CBS are watching football. They're happy. We're watching this severe thunderstorm warning ongoing, though, in Jackson County, and then watching a new tornado warning southwest. So we'll keep watching this area because there's still some chance here in Jackson County and Seminole County also, but the worst weather is moving out of our immediate coverage area. But let me back this up 3 hours, and then, Ryan, when you're ready, I'm going to toss back over to you. But I'm going to take you back, and I'm going to do this two ways. I'm going to show you the reflectivity, first of all. And we were watching the rotation starting to form here by Falco as it moved on through Covington County and then into Geneva County. And you see that area, and we mentioned, if you go back and look at our coverage, like we should have a tornado warning in effect for Geneva County, and they didn't have one out at that point. But we were on that radar and that rotation as it approached Geneva. A very strong storm at that point. Then we'll go back to the storm relative velocity and take you back 3 hours, and we kind of pinpoint that rotation as it moved on through the southern part of Alabama off to the east. So there was a rotation starting to form as it was near Florala. This one never prompted a tornado warning when it was here, and it looked very, very strong for a while. When it came towards Geneva, there was a look at Geneva at 125 just to the west, and then there it came through. So the radar at Eglin wasn't updating super frequently. So we had about a what is that? New one came in at 125. Next scan didn't come in until 7 minutes. Huge. But in that right there, that was probably the beginning of the tornado as it was forming on the northwest side of Geneva, and then the next scan is it's through. So we don't have that radar data from going through Geneva, but as you can see from the damage, this was probably a developing tornado at that point that came right on through the city. If I go back over to the debris tracker, let me take this back again 3 hours and kind of keep it right here. 125 is what we're looking at. So 120. Next scan was right there. So that's the debris showing up there. As that tornado hit Geneva, that was a debris signature as of 128. I don't know why. Normally, in a situation like today, we get that lowest scan every couple minutes, every minute or 2 minutes. I don't know why there was a 7-minute delay between the scans coming out of Eglin. That's the closest radar, more or less. It's kind of on the border. I'll use the Fort Rucker radar here and just kind of see what that looked like during that same time frame. And yeah, just a little, right there, just a little hint. I mean, that's the debris as of 127 right over the city of Geneva. And I'm going to toss back to Ryan here. Let me just update this one, go back to about 125. So yeah, that was same thing here. We had a scan come in at 119, and then the next scan was That's weird, right? It's just a 6-minute gap between scan. I don't know why. That's not us. I mean, I don't know. That's the weather data being provided to us. So anyway, that was the pocket of rotation that came on through. Was not tornado warned at the time, but a cell that we were watching long before it moved into Geneva. And go back and show us those pictures.
Yeah, of course. These are the images that are coming in. You can also check this out on WTVY.com. This should be on the homepage. You'll be able to see these photos coming in from downtown Geneva yourself. And the biggest thing is, as we were watching that rotation, that's once it was speedily passing through Geneva, that's where we started getting these reports in from law enforcement. I saw multiple comments coming through on Facebook saying that there were trees, power lines, and even some building damage. And now we can confirm through these images that there has been damage to buildings. You can see here bricks laying in the street while first responders are making their way into the city. Let's continue down the line where we can see some possibly old shops or really just infrastructure in the city as well. Windows damaged. damage, tree limbs making their way all the way to the sidewalk, and we even saw many power lines down. This is a look at power lines down right near Bank Plus in Geneva, where you see multiple branches down, lots of leaves everywhere. So when you look at these photos, you know that there were definitely powerful winds all around to create a lot of shaking in the trees and also likely interfering with power lines. And I know I've heard a lot of power outages throughout Geneva and many of our other counties. We'll actually touch on that in a little bit as well. But continuing through some of these photos, the one that really stood out as well was it looks like a piece of shed roof really up in a power pole as well. So it was very easily for that kind of roofing to be lofted. We've seen that multiple times with tornado and severe weather events, gusty winds that can pick up very light roofing like that and toss it around. So we've typically seen that with events like this. Another piece of roofing along a fence right here. And continuing on, some of these images have been repeating as well, but we see multiple limbs down on this street right here, almost making it impassable. So there will likely be some issues with traffic throughout today as crews are trying to get these limbs cleared out. So just be aware of that, especially if you are in Geneva. One that I wasn't able to touch on earlier, David, I'm not really sure exactly what that is on the side of the building. Do you, by chance, know exactly what that is?
It looks like a downspout.
Yeah.
Well, that's an electrical. It's an electrical box, is what it is, and
okay.
It's the power wires going into the building. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the meter along that building right there. So almost sagging off of the building. Creating or being caused by some of those winds. And then the last image that we have in, lots of branches in this front yard of this home right here on the roof, almost trees just completely fallen down. So a lot of winds were able to create this, and also likely a tornado. We're going to be waiting, especially after this event subsides. The National Weather Service, they send out teams to do storm surveys, and we'll likely see that done for multiple areas as we were watching out for many potential notches that drop tornadoes with that line of storms that passed through. So yeah, I'll be very curious to see what the information that we get more out of Geneva as well, and likely some other areas that likely saw possibly similar damage, where we saw drops within our correlation coefficient, which is our debris tracker. Whenever we had that difference in coloration, that typically means debris is being lofted into the air as well. Now, while we do have a few minutes, I wanted to touch on the amount of power outages that we have around our area too. So let's go to poweroutage.com, a really great resource to see power outages throughout multiple states. And when we had earlier in the coverage, as that line was passing through, there were many more power outages through parts of Coffee County. Those have dipped down. Geneva County in our area seems to be holding on to many of those outages right now. Of the 16,000 customers tracked, just over 3,000 customers are still without power in that area, and you still see areas farther to the east, Dale County, Henry County, Houston County, where there are also outages. For Florida, not seeing much in terms of the Florida Panhandle. Here's a look at Walton County. Of the 80,000 that are tracked, over 2,500 customers are out without power. And so some of those storms were able to pack a punch, and actually it was through Walton County too, where we were seeing a little bit of that rotation making its way through to Funiac Springs and continuing east as well. So that could have been a factor too. We'll continue getting more information on that, especially as storm surveys are made. Now going to the Wiregrass Electric Co-op, where we have plenty of customers around here. There are hundreds to probably over 1,000 people still without power, really towards the area of the State Road 153, one that we were eyeing a little bit earlier in terms of damage. There was hundreds confirmed with power out, and where you see these red icons with an image of what looks to be a worker on it, that is verified power outage, and crews are on the way to help out with those power outages, and we see more of that farther to the north, just to the west of Coffee Springs, over 200 likely without power, and you see that continuing to spread farther east you go towards Dothan. So as this line maintained unification or stayed unified as it pushed through, I mean, it was imparting likely gusty winds for many areas throughout the Wiregrass. And of course, we knew that power outages were likely going to be one of the main risks that we saw with this line of storms. Let's head over to Alabama Power. Not too many customers from what we're seeing in terms of reports, but any Alabama Power customers, you're likely experiencing some outages around Houston County towards Dale County, and especially, of course, again, towards Geneva, where it seems to be 8 customers affected. Now going to Dothan Utilities, this is a great resource to look at when looking more into the Dothan area or just outside of the circle. Earlier, just to the west of where you see that 17 towards North Beverly Road, there was a lot more power outages confirmed, really towards the hundreds from what I saw, but it looks like crews have responded to that, hopefully getting that power on, but there are still areas within the city that are still dealing with that too. So we're going to continue watching out for power outages, and many of those crews from what we saw on the maps are responding to those power outages as we see that those storms subside. But as we can tell from the images coming out of Geneva and more of those reports rolling in, it seems like these storms definitely packed a punch. So it was we knew it was going to be hosting a lot of energy as it made its way through. The divide in the temperatures also creating a lot of that uplift to allow for these storms to be powerful. The low-level jet allowing for that spin. So it was very easy for many of these storms to do those brief spin-ups. But David, when you saw that the images coming in from Geneva, what exactly has been crossing through your mind as those come in?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like tornado damage for sure, and it kind of aligns with what we've seen in the radar imagery. When you see the roofs peeled off like that, like the tin and the steel taken off of roofs and then wrapped around power lines, that usually doesn't happen with straight line winds. That's usually some kind of a twisting uplift to the air. And you look at some of the tree branches downtown, you see the blown out windows in that building downtown. That's what really kind of stands out to me, that's probably tornado damage. And it aligns with what we've seen on Doppler radars today when we were watching that area of rotation to Covington County, and we saw that rotation move on through Geneva County, and we have those reports coming in south of Sampson of damage, and then that same storm led right into Geneva. So I'm thinking that we had a rotating storm, and we did the whole time, that at times was dropping a funnel cloud and producing that tornado damage. But yeah, those pictures that Ryan you have up there, really incredible. And you see a lot of the small leaves, so like the live oak trees, the water oaks, they still have leaves on them. And you see some of those pictures with there's a picture of a live oak, yeah, that one with the little twigs and leaves kind of scattered everywhere. That really is indicative of a tornado that came on through there. Those are really strong trees. Those live oaks, man, they've been around for a lot longer than any of us have, and they can weather some bad storms. But we see branches and leaves ripped off like that, and then the little scattering of all the little twigs everywhere, that usually points towards tornado damage. Right there, you saw that roof there, damage, ripped off, and then the piece of tin around the power line. Yeah, up high there. Yeah, that usually indicates, and that one too, look at that picture. Go back to that picture, because that is something else. I mean, that's not just straight line winds. That is something that came through in a smaller area, swirling winds that produced a lot of damage. You can actually see some of the twisting of the power lines around that pole, which means you had very strong winds. You mentioned EF2. Go back to that building, because we don't know how strong it was, and I don't know that building enough to know. You see how it's hollow? There's no roof anymore. Mm-hmm. So I remember, in Mariana during Michael, we had, Mariana downtown got hit like that too, and he had a lot of bricks from a building fall. I don't know if that building was hollowed out or if it had a roof. Like, was there a roof on that second story? I don't know.
It could be either way, yeah. So that's another thing too I mentioned before. I didn't want to cause any confusion just saying that, this is likely probably an EF2 based off that damage. I was really connecting it to damage that we saw similar to Cottonwood from that January 9th tornado 2 years ago. So that's something to take away. Don't go to your friends and be like, an EF2 tornado hit Geneva. I was just recalling that there's still definitely going to be more storm surveys, of course, by the National Weather Service. But yeah, I am curious to see if that building was already hollowed out. And I mean, just from the image itself, David, you could probably agree with me, it does look like an older building. So it does look like it could have been damaged a little bit more easily than the others, because it does look like old infrastructure.
Yeah, if it's a hollowed out building, you know, we've got, listen, America in general, you've got a lot of small towns that have these buildings that were in 1920, 1930, just phenomenal. And over the years, they've just kind of gone downhill. And you have it in downtown Dothan, some buildings that have been, you know, not used for a long time. And some of those buildings you've lost because of leaky roofs and floor rot. You've got nothing left but the cool outside brick shell of a building. So, yeah, hard to say. Again, if you know, you can let us know maybe somehow on Facebook and let us know, you know, what that building was like before. But bottom line, that's not the only area with damage. I put out a Facebook post on my Facebook page, and it's hard to get that back and forth communication. I've got my phone with me, and on my Facebook page, you know, if you have any damage reports, let us know, show some pictures, let us know what you saw, where you live, because, Ryan, I'm thinking that area around northern Houston County, over into Early County. I mean, there are pockets where we saw debris signatures show up that we know there was damage. We just haven't seen the pictures yet. We're just seeing Geneva. This is not just a Geneva damage day. It's all over the Wiregrass.
No, yeah. I mean, we were tracking multiple of those notches making their way through Houston County into Blakely. Again, I think we saw even a pop-up on the debris tracker with rotation towards Blakely. So it was very fast for these tornadoes to touch down. And they can do some pretty good damage very briefly. I know, thinking back to last year, we saw the same kind of roofing damage with that brief tornado that made its way inside the circle in Dothan and also created roof damage for Dothan Preparatory Academy. So it is very easy for those brief spin-ups to do a lot of damage very fast. So I do think that throughout today and into this evening, we'll likely get more of those photos coming in, more reports, because, yeah, I would say that those S-shaped storm relative velocity notches that we continue to watch, easily those could have been dropping tornadoes briefly, lifting back up, and then reproducing as they made their way east. The low-level jet today was very, very strong over much of the region. So once you just had a little bit more of that energy for these storms to use as we got into the midday hours, it was very easy for those storms to spin up. And again, that is exactly what we were talking about for the last several days. We were looking at those good chances where it could be very easy for these storms to just have a little bit more of that strengthening to light up. And it was really on cue in terms of that line of storms making its way into our area, David.
Yeah, we were watching it for days and pinpointing that 11 to 4 a.m. you know, broad window, and the worst of it be between about, say, noon and 3 o'clock, and that's exactly what happened in our area. This is a very powerful cold front coming on through. Switch me back over to Max 2 if you can, Jonathan, and let me take you through what we're looking at right now, because we are nearing the end of the severe threat in the Wiregrass, thankfully. Now, this tornado watch here is no longer in effect, and really in this area here, it's no longer in effect, because once that cold front comes on through that line of showers and storms, that's it. We're done. That threat will extend areas east of us through Georgia. Big uptick there in lightning over the central parts of Georgia near Albany. That's the cell, by the way, that we were watching earlier. I mean, there's some really nasty weather off to the east of us at this point. Check out temperatures. We are still relatively warm compared to what is happening to the north of us. It is 18 in Memphis, 28 in Jackson. There has been tremendous freezing rain over the northwestern part of Mississippi into Louisiana, Arkansas also, but this part right here of Mississippi, very, very, very bad with ice accumulation right now. We've got that cold air damming coming down the eastern seaboard with 20s into South Carolina, a little wedge of warmer air here, 36, thankfully above that freezing mark in Atlanta, and then 85 down there in Orlando. Talk about a difference across the southeast from 85 to 18. Orlando to Memphis. All right, dew points are dropping, so the instability kind of being taken out of the atmosphere. I want to point out Mariana, 58, that dew point there. So that front has come on through Mariana, and that is taking that energy out of the atmosphere. So whatever's left here is just rain. It's no longer severe. Albany, right in the middle of that very intense thunderstorm. Down there towards Mariana, Jackson County, still some rain, still some severe thunderstorm warnings in effect, but the rotation areas that we were watching are out of our area. And what we have left here is heavy rainfall and some gusty winds, but no longer seeing any tornado warnings after seeing multiple tornado warnings at the same time. Hey, the modeling is doing a great job. That's 3 p.m. with our in-house graph model showing that line of showers and storms. Now it's a little bit farther to the east as expected, but as we go through time, it all blows out of here. The roads will dry before that freezing air comes in, so no worries about any ice tomorrow morning unless you have big puddles. And if you have a really bad road that holds a lot of water, there could be some icy spots. And it's maybe not, usually that's kind of on the edge of the road. I think my concern would be if you have drivers that hit that water and then spray it on the road, you might have certain sections of road that are icy because any wetness from lingering puddles will turn to ice tomorrow morning, so factor that into your morning plans. I don't see it being a big concern, but those roads that are uneven, that hold water, just watch for those, for any lingering water spots tomorrow morning that would turn to ice or black ice. Temperatures tomorrow morning at 7 in the 20s to lower 30s. That's some cold air coming in for tomorrow morning, and then even colder for tomorrow night. Ryan mentioned that low-level jet. We include this with our severe sandwich that we do leading up to severe events. It's so important, and as I overlay the low-level jet on the satellite and then the radar on top of that, kind of making a sandwich. Speaking of a sandwich, that sounds pretty good about right now. I'm hungry. Looking at that low-level jet fueling the showers and storms coming on through Georgia into Alabama today and the Florida Panhandle. All of that is shifting off to the east. We get cooler and drier air to come in on the backside as we go on through the evening hours and through the overnight. Our severe coverage is almost done. I want to carry this just a little bit longer, though, as we track what is left there coming on through Jackson County. Seminole County, it's a rain event. I'm not seeing any real bad weather in Seminole County. In the points northward, it's just rain, including in Blakely, including in the Dothan area right now. The worst storms off to the south coming on through Panama City at this hour, up towards Youngstown, and then into the southern part of Jackson County. I mentioned that dew point in Mariana is down to 50, 6, 7, 8 degrees in that ballpark. So the boundary has come on through Mariana. What we're left with in Mariana is some rainfall. So there's really just kind of a little small window of potential trouble in the area that we cover, which is Jackson County. So Grand Ridge, for example, watching this area, and then south of there towards Alpha, watching that area as well. And it looks like my radar is tired from working today, kind of cut out. Let me go over to the velocity scans and see if I notice anything significant. I'm not seeing anything that concerns me whatsoever. So what we got here is a very active radar in terms of heavy rainfall moving on through Jackson County and then southward towards the coast. But within this area here, it's just rain and maybe a little wind. I'm not seeing any pockets of rotation on the leading edge of this, which is fantastic. I've got a couple different radars to use here. There's a look at Tallahassee's. There's a look at Fort Rucker, and then Eglins. We're kind of in between. Nothing looks really concerning from any of it. I'm not seeing any notches showing up along the leading edge. So we're looking pretty good, and I think we might wind down coverage now with the intent to come back on as needed if we see anything pop up in Jackson County that's a little more robust than what we're seeing now. But generally, it looks like we're going to see a lot of rain for the rest of Jackson County and then settling down across the area. Ryan, stretch after
I was going to say, we get a moment to breathe because looking at that line, it was really firing up the further east that it went, and now it seems to be, kind of losing that warmth as we looked at the progression of that line. But very glad that we were both on today to keep everyone updated about these storms. And seeing the Facebook comments that comes through, it really means a lot for everyone to who appreciates us being on coverage today, to keep everyone informed, because that's exactly why we do this. We want to keep everyone safe and as most informed as possible, because these storms, as we saw through Geneva, the images that are coming in, these storms are dangerous as they make their way through. So the biggest thing now is once we have this rain come through, it's just really going to be the cold that comes in. We got to prepare for the cold, and we'll be tracking that for much of this coming week. But one thing I did want to mention, David, real quick. Yeah. This was an update from the Geneva County EMA director. That's Brian Smith. He was just saying, this is quote, "We've got damage and need people to stay away from the affected area." I know many people would be like, let's go and see if we can help out. While they do have first responders getting into Geneva, it is likely important that they have enough space to assess the damage and help everyone that needs that immediate help. And Brian, according to him, said to his knowledge, as of right now, no one was injured. Another thing that he did say was, it was lucky that this occurred on a Sunday because businesses were closed.
Good point.
And had it been a weekday, there would have been more people around. And I do believe, like you said, that is a very good point. It does help having this on the weekend. I know everyone is at home, so there's not a lot of commuting around besides going to likely church in the morning or towards lunch, but getting home and staying in a safe place, I think that does really help out when you have an event like this. But of course, if you go to our website, WTVY.com, we will likely have more updates about storm damage across the area and any updates about Geneva, as well as they are assessing the damage that they are seeing right now. But yeah, David, definitely very glad to do this coverage with you. Always great to also just be working with you, because I learn a lot it doesn't matter what event, I always learn something new or retain something new. But yeah, after this, just time to get ready for the potent cold that's coming in behind this line.
And that's a good point about, you know, being a Sunday and not a Monday, because you look at all those bricks that fell downtown. I mean, imagine if there were vehicles or people walking underneath that.
Yeah, no, it would have been very more hazardous situation, especially with people out and people operating their businesses. I know it's going to be a lot to clean up, as we've seen with multiple severe weather events, but if this is confirmed that there were no injuries or fatalities, that is a very nice breath of fresh air after covering something like this.
Let me ask you this, because you've been here for a few years, and some of the biggest events that we've covered have been in January. Today, obviously, a big event. January 9th of 2024, a big event. Before you got here, January 21st and 22nd of 2017 stands out. January 2nd of 2017 stands out. The 22nd was the Granbury Crossroads tornado. January 2nd of 2017 was when Rehoboth got hit. So, in your time here, January events stand out as well. So what do you think as a meteorologist? Did you know that January could be so volatile in this part of the country?
Growing up a little bit in Birmingham, I know the coverage that I would often see at this time during the winter would always stand out, because that's when you got associated with, like severe weather extends from November to spring, and then it ramps up in spring, but then sort of dies off until you get more convective thunderstorms, thunderstorm events in the summer. So that is something that I had to get used to once I moved from Savannah, Georgia to Birmingham, because typically Savannah, Georgia, you're watching out for the risk of hurricanes and any frontal systems that come through. We've seen this multiple times, and we're already seeing that likely with this line, it's going to continue weakening and really just become a thin line of showers, maybe a couple thunderstorms. But yeah, not really used to seeing tornadic events at this time in Savannah. But yeah, moving to Alabama, it was a bit of a wake-up call. And coming down here, I knew coming here that winter storms and winter events were really going to stand out more, because you have the dipping of the jet stream. It provides that vorticity. It provides that energy for these events, and you get really sharp lines of warmth and cold, which you can see on your screen right now as that cold air is speedily, like very fast, coming into our area. So that provides the uplift. But yeah, events like these really do stand out. There was another point I was going to make, but
it's been a long day.
It's been a long day. It's been a long day. But yeah, these have always stood out, and they will continue standing out anytime you're covering for Alabama. This is the point I was going to make. It's just, it is a good thing that it happened on the weekend. I know that's not good for us because we got to be here and tracking, but we don't mind at all covering and keeping people safe. But we have always been in this pattern over nights and over weekends whenever severe weather comes in.
Yeah, hopefully we break it, because we've got the Mardi Gras parade coming up.
I know.
Yeah. I want good weather for that Saturday for sure.
Yeah.
You know, Ryan and I cover this leading up to events. I mean, at this point, it was leading up to the severe event. A week ago, we were covering the snow chances leading up to that event last Sunday. But we do a show, if you haven't watched Weather Extra, it airs every weeknight at 10 p.m. And for Weather Extra, we get extra time to talk about the weather, so Weather Extra. And we go deep dives into various topics, stuff that you don't see during a normal weathercast. You might see it online if we post something here or there, but it's a chance for us to kind of go deep dive into what is happening or what's coming our way. And we were doing that leading up to this event, and we were showing some of the modeling, and it's amazing that the modeling for this event was very good. And we got some comments on my Facebook, like, I think on Thursday or Wednesday, where I go, "You're the only one talking about severe chances on Sunday." Well, I guess I was maybe at that point, but everyone hopped on board because we saw it coming. Like, we try really hard to give you the information that you need to know to help plan your life as soon as we feel confident in it unfolding. Like, we're watching snow chances for next weekend, next Friday, Saturday. Watching that, got time, had to get through this event first, but we're trying, and I would encourage people to watch Weather Extra. It's a great show.
Yeah, it's really great to find different ways to put that information out, because we can talk about weather for hours on hours, and putting that in a more relative content for people at home, it really shows how they can learn a little bit more about the weather. Not to call out my mom, but she, whenever she tunes in, she always says, "I learn something new every time." And it's been really nice getting people's comments when we're out filming Weather and Words. People say they tune in, they love ending their day with us, so that is very nice. And we are very excited to continue that through the winter, into the spring, and who knows how long.
Yeah, more severe events are coming our way. And when we say, like, a day like today, we monitor, is there going to be a risk for severe weather? And there was no risk, but we were talking it up. And then there was a marginal risk, and they got upgraded to a slight risk. And then we say, showers and storms. And if you were watching what we were putting out, you knew exactly what was going to happen today. So I encourage you to pay attention. If you don't pay attention too often, just once in a while, check out what we're saying, because more events like this will be unfolding, and every event is different. Today featured a lot of rotation, as expected, on the leading edge of that cold front, that line that came on through. Some events is more like supercells that form in individual storms and not just a big line, and sometimes it's clusters that produce the damage across the area. But as we go through the month of January into February, March, April, May, the peak of tornado season, severe weather season, make sure you pay attention, because more events are coming in, and everyone will be different, and we will do what we can to kind of keep you informed.
Yeah, exactly. We'll definitely keep everyone informed, because it always gives us good things to talk about. We're always watching every kind of weather event, whether that be tornadoes, snow, and then into the summer, hurricanes. It's never a boring day when you're a meteorologist here in the Wiregrass.
All right, so we're going to wrap up our coverage here of the severe weather, moving on through the Wiregrass. The activity is moving off to the east of us. Still watching Jackson County. There's some heavy rainfall moving on through, but that severe threat about to shift out of Jackson County off to the southeast of the area that we cover. We've got a sister station in Tallahassee, WCTV, that you can watch, WJHG in the Panhandle in Panama City, WALB in Albany. So we've got a whole network of stations across the southeast to keep you informed, and they're likely streaming. If you're watching us on the stream, you can watch their stream if you want more weather coverage. A lot of cleanup to happen now in the Wiregrass. We really appreciate you being here, trusting us as your weather source as we watch these showers and storms come on through. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Get ready for that cold air that comes in. A light freeze tonight, a very, very hard freeze for tomorrow night, and then plenty of cold air to linger all the way through the week. And hopefully no severe weather for a while, but when we see something coming, we will let you know what is on the horizon right here on WTVY News 4. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you this week ahead. Take care.
You've been watching a News 4 First Alert Severe Weather Update. For more weather updates, download the free WTVY First Alert Weather app.